Hey all, Scott here, and I'm just sitting here with my old pal Good Video Game. I just can't wait to tear right into you for a hearty dose of 70 or above on Metacritic. There are a few things that are certain in this world. Love, death, and Devil's Third being one of the most negatively reviewed games Nintendo's ever published. It came at a time when the Wii U was gasping for air. It was buggy, ran like piss, it had troubled development, mix them all together, and what do you get? A 3.5 from IGN. But how does something so bad become so bad? Tomonobu Itagaki. His accomplishments include having a name I probably brutally mispronounce, and such titles as Dead or Alive, Ninja Gaiden, Fatal Frame. He's a titan in the Japanese game developer scene, to put it lightly. Originally a key member of Team Ninja, he later moved on to a new company, Valhalla Game Studios, and started work on a project unlike any of his prior games, Devil's Third. It's fair to say the game started development around 2008 with the inception of Valhalla. The game was originally to be published by Microsoft as an Xbox 360 exclusive, but Microsoft decided the game wasn't Kinect enough and dropped the project. It then shifted to THQ, who would publish the game on not only the 360, but the PlayStation 3 and PC as well, receiving a reveal trailer around E3 2010. And then THQ f***ing died. Afterwards, Valhalla retained the rights to the game, and Itagaki later met up with Satoru Iwata of Nintendo and struck a deal. Nintendo would publish the game on Wii U as an exclusive to increase the console's array of online and mature games. E3 2014 came around and IGN re-revealed the game as, of course, a Wii U exclusive. And then basically everything went silent until the game released. Here in North America, that is. Nintendo of America stayed pretty silent for quite a long time on the release of the game, seemingly canceling it for the region. Various news outlets were tipped off that they would not be publishing the game due to a lack of faith in the title. A similar situation happened with the Wii game Disaster Day of Crisis, so this wasn't unheard of. However, possibly due to the outcry from North American Wii U fans or the overall lack of 2015 Wii U titles, Nintendo of America eventually, and seemingly reluctantly, announced in July that they would publish the game, releasing on December 11th, 2015, with Europe and Japan getting the game much earlier in August of that year. It was obvious Nintendo of America wanted to get the game out and never speak of it again, although weirdly enough, they did put effort into giving us a unique box art compared to the European and Japanese release. Of course, due to the lack of faith in the game, Devil's Third initially saw an extremely limited release here, with it being reported that GameStop only received 420 copies to sell across the entire United States. This led to house mortgages of prices on eBay, but this soon changed with reprints of the game being made readily available on Amazon. It's still not a super common Wii U game by any means, but you can still snag a physical copy for around 50 bones. And that's fundamentally the tale of Devil's Third's development. That's a story I'll be telling to my grandchildren. This game always intrigued and fascinated me. It's such a bizarre game for Nintendo to have a hand in. It really felt like they were banking on this being another Bayonetta 2 situation. I mean, without Nintendo, that game wouldn't be a reality, and while it wasn't a big success sales-wise, it was one of the most critically acclaimed games of 2014. That didn't happen. I think it's finally time to flush my purity ring down the toilet and never look back, because I'm gonna play and beat Devil's Third for the first time. I have to make this one thing clear. Devil's Third features the quickest transition from menu to game I've ever seen. Look at that. This game's a natural at getting shit over with. On Halloween night, almost all satellites have been destroyed, and it's led to pandemonium. Like, the military doesn't have a clue on what to do. That means prison riot! Cut to Ivan, everybody's favorite next Smash Brothers character, a terrorist who's contained within a cell/bachelor pad. The president dangles a guitar in front of your face and tells you to meet up with him. So we have to get out of the prison. Easy peasy, off we go, and in terms of controls, they're actually really smooth. You have a fast and strong melee attack, a guard, and a sprint, which this thing is insane. You can sprint endlessly. Ivan never slows down. He's a machine. You can hold a melee weapon and two guns. Swapping between the two is almost instantaneous, and gunplay is in the first person. It's all really snappy and feels pretty good. You can also show off the LEDs installed in your arteries after charging up your M'Baku gauge, which makes you faster and stronger. But I gotta be honest, when using it, I never felt a noticeable increase in power. Everything felt pretty much the same. That's it. Yeah, you just run amok, go to a horde of enemies, and just be yourself. After taking advantage of somebody's eyes, we make our way to the first boss of the game, the head of the prison fan site, Molotov. He notices you before even turning around. Good for him. I know countless other games have you pummeling bullet after bullet into human enemies, but something about the way Devil's Third does it just feels unnatural.
Big mistake. I agree.
So Ivan escapes, meets up with the president, goes to prom, and is filled in on the rest of the plot. Ivan has to work with the US Army to kill all of his old terrorist friends who are behind the satellites getting destroyed, but don't quote me on that. I checked out on this storyline 4 minutes before popping the game in.
The EMP appears to have taken out the GPS data links and the broad-range radar systems. we'll have to navigate by the stars. Just like World War II.
We're gonna have to navigate by the stars, just like Devil's Third. So the military doesn't like Ivan, but mark my words, give it a few hours and he'll win them over with personality and mass murder. Ivan just refuses to play by the rules, drops down in dead Peoplesburg, and look at him now. This is a terrorist I can get behind. Oh, all right, so I can't hop over this fence where the enemies are clearly at. Gotcha. Now, are there any features of the game that could only be done with the Wii U, seeing how it's an exclusive? No. I mean, it's not surprising the game can't handle something crazy on the second screen, like, look at this. The game fucking stuttered picking up a collectible. This is where a lot of the game's performance issues start to become pretty apparent. These frames are just terrible. Looking at basically any other Nintendo-made Wii U game, now these are what you call frames. We run around, shoot guys, watch effing slideshows, and totally comprehend why this game was rated M. It's always weird seeing Nintendo get behind such mature things, but they'll definitely do anything to please fans. I gotta say, least favorite thing about Bowser, hands down, is his flesh. Oh, Nintendo. Ivan recognizes a girl codenamed C4 who was originally on his team, thought to be dead. Flashback to one of their terrorist hangouts where Ivan leaves the group after realizing they're perfectly fine with killing innocent kids. I can tell why he's upset at this. I mean, that is a damn rubber band ball at dead children. He's almost killed because of leaving, C4 defends him, she's shot, Ivan is arrested, and that brings us to this midlife crisis. Here we go, we reach one of our targets, Big Mouse. And holy shit, that's a lot of enemies. Holy shit, I died. Holy shit, respawn and killed all the enemies for me. Well, after giving Big Mouse the old what for with bullets. I had a dream like this once. And with this, I think it's a good time to start up my official player's guide for Devil's Third. Kill him. Next up in the story, we head to the Bratwurst Islands where we kill more people and discover the fun in invisible bombs. God, the doors are closing. Is Soldier AO3 gonna survive? Thank fucking God! At this point, the game is really repeating itself hard. We have hordes of enemies plus one very powerful and slow one. The group of ninja-type garbage men. All in a shuffled playlist. Just kill, move to next area. Kill, move to next area. There's just not a ton of variety. The game just throws the same thing at you over and over again, very rarely mixing it up. We have a few sections here and there where we have to blow up tanks, but those aren't a challenge at all. It doesn't even really feel like you can fail them. Alright, next boss, Grandala Saha, Devil's Third's killer app. You see, the main thing I remember from seeing trailers for this game was just how big this guy's mouth can get. Granola Sandbag. This guy was the hardest boss in the entire game for me. You see, up until this point, I was primarily just using gunplay and strong melee attacks on bosses, but Gandhi Salamander requires quick melee attacks and nothing more really. Only figured that out after the 20th time this cat puke spewed on the screen. But even after figuring out how to beat him, this boss fight was still tough for me. He's just so fast. Okay, beat him. Next section. Yeah, this is basically more of the same. Never mind, it's a zombie game now. Thank God, the quota's been reached. See you later. So they find a bunch of mutant zombies or whatever. Neat shit. This is the worst Halloween ever. Next box is Guinea Pig, and no! That tears it. I'm gonna go absolutely. Boss fight's over. Ivan discovers that Big Mouse was behind the mutants as it was an experimental offensive technique, I guess. He realizes C4 has whatever garbage the mutants have. She's like a daughter to him. He gets mad. I blinked. This is all I got from it. Moving on to the next mission, this is easily the most interesting place the game has thrown at us yet aesthetically. Jane Doe is the next boss here and involves a whole lot of ha-ha and ha-ha! Don't you hate it when your throat gets slit? Heading to the industrial zone to find a captured scientist. We have to wipe out all these people, and after the game tells us to hold on while it takes a breather, oh look at that, helicopters appear, take him down. I'm not sure if this game is getting more difficult, the enemies are becoming cheaper, or I'm just becoming more careless. The classic death by opening door. More are these big guys to deal with, and Jesus, I'm in purgatory. Alright, here's an old man pretending to drink booze. We get to drive this thing to our next destination, and geez, even the cutscenes stutter. Now we have invisible enemies to deal with. Devil's Third, just give up. Ivan is transported into Call of Duty World at War on the Wii. Well, next boss is this flying ogre. AO1 fucking dies. It's just Ivan being Ivan now. On to the last hurrah, and it wouldn't be Devil's Third's last hurrah without whatever the hell this is. Man, I'm actually really excited to finally beat Devil's Third. What a buzzkill! An invisible Ludmila Karenina is our opponent. She runs away and we're face to face with the true final boss, Isaac Kumano, leader and adoptive father of Ivan, and...
are too simple to understand. Even with those silly glasses of yours, you are still a blind man.
This is actually a pretty cool final boss. And this was the moment I realized Ivan's not wearing a shirt. Ivan kills Isaac. Lumilla comes back for one last Ivan murder, but C4 jumps in front of the bullet to save him.
No, I don't want you to remember me like this.
Too late. Ivan saves C4, leaves, says it's not over, and what do you know, credits roll. They end with Satoru Iwata's name as a lingering piano key is heard. Ending it there would have been a lot more impactful. Instead, this one's for all you credits fanboys out there. Apparently most reviewers didn't even beat the game because one of the biggest complaints is nullified in the ending. Itagaki officially ends things off with a thank you message for patiently waiting for this very moment. This very moment. Well, I finally beat Devil's Third, which means I'm probably on a watch list somewhere. There was a multiplayer component, which was relatively meaty, but the Wii U servers were taken down in December of 2016. Weirdly enough, a PC version of the game, which was exclusively the multiplayer, released as well, entitled Devil's Third Online. But that as well is no longer available as of March 2017. Devil's Third is clumsy, buggy, somewhat poorly designed, and monotonous. But it's nowhere near terrible. It controls really well, it's self-aware, and it can feel like an action-packed power trip sometimes. Of course, it's bogged down with extremely repetitive design, poor performance, and a lack of really any solid new ideas. It ain't great, but it's not nearly as bad as other reviews made it out to be, at least in my opinion. I mean, look at this guy's mouth, that's worth the price of admission right there. However, I will say the game feels really empty at the end of the day. It just doesn't feel like it ever needed to exist, even if it turned out to be everything it was initially envisioned to be. And with Itagaki saying he originally planned a trilogy of games, I don't see that happening. Devil's Third. It wasn't that great, wasn't that bad either. It was just right. However, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines Devil's Third as a 3 from GameSpot. This game. Silly me, almost had an opinion there. Hey y'all, Scott here. Tambourine selling's in my blood, so welcome to the Barine Bazaar, where tambourine selling's our specialty. Well, things are really heating up, which means there's only one thing to do to maintain our monopoly on the tambourine market. F***ing panic. With every purchase of a tambourine, you get a free copy of Wii Music. Wham! Damn! The Wii was home to many Wii games and Wii games. Yes, what better title to give your game than the name of the console followed by word? I have a soft spot for the Wii series of games. They always used the console's unique controllers and capabilities in ways that turned many heads. Wii Sports, Wii Fit, Wii Party, even Wii Play all lit up sales charts and thus received follow-ups. Sure, they aren't the deepest games out there, but if you see a game that begins with the word Wii, chances are it'll deliver a fun night in with the family. Now replace the word night with eternity and family with the devil, and you have a confusing sentence that can only mean one thing. You're playing Wii Music! The only Wii series title to not get a sequel other than Wii Chess, which apparently us Americans hate this stuff, we never got it over here. Wii Music always had it a bit rough. From its initial unveil to now, it's generally always been seen as a joke, even by Nintendo fans. Concepts for the game could be seen as early as 2005 in the initial Wii Remote unveil trailer, back when the system still went by the codename Nintendo Revolution. Fast forward to E3 2006, where Shigeru Miyamoto starts the conference by conducting a virtual orchestra. This Maestro minigame was meant to be included in Wii Play, until the developers decided to craft an entire game all about music. And that brings us to the death of Nintendo. I'm sure you've all heard horror stories of Nintendo's E3 2008 press conference. It wasn't a good show, and that's being generous. And what better way to end an already bad show than with a fucking mental breakdown? Holy shit! Reggie was all like, we have one last thing. The lights dim, fog envelops the stage, and then this happens. Miyamoto comes out on stage and starts playing music with a Wii remote poorly. He then describes how Wii Music is supposed to be a way for everybody to enjoy the world of music, regardless of musical experience, age, or gender, following that up by playing some F-Zero music that makes up for everything. Finally, Nintendo ends the conference by screaming to everybody, we're a company guys, we swear. Yeah, Nintendo's E3 2008 showing was already pretty brutal, but just the fact they ended the show proudly demonstrating a sloppy rendition of the Super Mario Bros. Theme in Wii Music just sealed the deal right there. Satan doesn't look like a man, he looks like 6 Mii's playing music in a field. So people weren't too jazzed about Wii Music from the get-go, it just looked like a way to make songs play by swinging your arms around. That's not to say it didn't have a right to exist. 2008 was the height of the rhythm game craze, with Guitar Hero and Rock Band. So it really did make sense for Nintendo to try their hand at the genre. It was also Nintendo composer Kazumi Totaka's first and only full-on directorial role on a game. This is a guy behind a ton of the music in Animal Crossing, Crossing, Yoshi games, Luigi's Mansion, and he's also the creator of the Totaka's Song Easter Egg, a little tune he throws into most of the games he's made. Weirdly enough, it doesn't seem like it's in Wii Music. Upon release, Wii Music was met with a lot of down-the-middle reviews, as in a lot of 5s. Most of the people who reviewed the game just didn't see much value in it. But that was back then, and now is right now. I mean, it's been 10 years. Wii Music released on October 20th, 2008 in North America. Maybe we were all a bit too harsh on it at first. Or maybe— Oh, I couldn't even finish that. Of course it's terrible. I got this game for my birthday in 2009, and I thought it had potential to be cool. I always wanted to try to learn music, but after a few failed attempts, I maintain I never had a single musical intestine in me. So I guess I wanted to see if Wii Music could be my gateway into learning more about music. Fast forward to now, and I still have no clue what a fucking trumpet is. It's fair to say Wii Music didn't grab me. I like some aspects of it, but overall it felt like it just lacked any point. Like, I'd pop it in and within 2 minutes I'd ask, alright, why am I doing this to myself? It has been a while though, so let's boot it up and give it another go. We're greeted to what I think a hormone looks like, and his name is Sebastian Toot. He forces me to play the piano whether I like it or not, and all we have to do here is shake the Wii Remote nunchuck. Hey, hear that? I'm a penis. Next thing's next, we pop the nunchuck up and strum this guitar with the Wii Remote. Next up, the trumpet, and yeah, just mash the 1 and 2 buttons with no nunchuck. Finally, come on, I put the one instrument that doesn't use the nunchuck in the middle. Now I need to pop it back in for the violin. Actually, from what I can tell, you can play the majority, if not all the instruments with just the Wii Remote itself, but to get that sweet, sweet immersion, you'll probably want to use the nunchuck for some of them. Doesn't matter though, because T-minus 5 minutes in, the immersion's already been broken. Who the hell doesn't blink while playing violin? Sebastian transitions into teaching us how to play a tune. Surprised at my size? Don't encourage him. And this right here is the gameplay of Wii Music. As Twinkle Twinkle Little Star is playing, I have to shake my controller as if I'm playing the music, but you don't have to do any specific motions or anything to play the correct notes. You fundamentally just have to shake the controller to the song, or not at all. Wii Music actually encourages players to do whatever the hell they want. Add notes to the song, it'll give it your own personal touch. And you can definitely add notes to your song in Wii Music and make it sound somewhat elegant, but half the time the game decides to add random notes in there for me. I swing my Wii Remote and it counts for 2 notes played in succession. I can see why the music industry is hell to get into. Jam sessions are then demonstrated, where we just play a song with a band. And here I tried to do Twinkle Twinkle justice, but man, I couldn't help myself. Don't worry if you didn't play it perfectly, because there's no one way to play a song. He's right. So now it's time to see what Wii Music rated that performance. Okay, we get to rate our own performances, yeah! Now it's time to save a video of our jam session, and this is cute. Get to create our own album art and everything, that's great. This is one of the fun parts of Wii Music. And now we have all of the game at our disposal. Time to jam out with— you gotta be kidding me. We have to unlock the vast majority of songs in the game, and most are unlocked via doing more lessons with Dr. Toot. Yeah, we actually have to grind in Wii Music to unlock all the songs. The main problem is, once we actually unlock some songs, they pull a Chibi-Robo Zip Lash on us. This song selection blows! You can't tell me Nintendo didn't have the funds at the time to license actual songs that actual people actually like. Instead, most of the songs are from the public domain. Nintendo did nab a few well-known licensed songs, September and Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, just to name 2, but they sound like garbage. Considering you only hear these songs played via Wii Music instruments, they all sound like 5th grade marching band covers. That's not to say the instruments don't represent their real-life counterparts well. I think the expansive instrument selection is one of the best elements of the game. Like, look at all these things. They have all their own descriptions, and they're relatively faithful to how the instruments are in real life. I think they really shine when you're just testing them all out. It definitely gives you some exposure to all different kinds of instruments. But when you actually attempt to play songs with these things, yeah, it sounds gross. Just these MIDI, overly digital sounding, soulless renditions of some classic songs, and that's assuming you're playing them with appropriate instruments. You can play all the songs with all different kinds of instruments, guitars, bagpipes, no integrity, anything. But that doesn't save the lame song selection. Even having some Nintendo tracks in here doesn't satiate my virginity. And for some godforsaken reason, there's a Wikipedia article solely dedicated to the songs in this game. It's only about 50 tracks. You could easily cram this into the regular Wii Music article, but this list has Turkey and the Straw in it. It deserves its own article. Now the main mode is the jam sessions, where you just play a song. Remember when I said Wii Music encourages you to do whatever the hell you want? Well, in my opinion, it also actively discourages you from attempting to play the song correctly. You have to turn on the ability to see when you need to play your instrument by hitting the minus button. The fact that it's automatically disabled boggles my mind. Like, yeah, I get it. You want people to play the music their way, but what's the harm in showing showing them, hey, here's how you should play the notes. That's kind of what playing music in real life is like. You can always rate your performance and save a video, and that's it for the jam sessions. At least there's a selection of minigames to play. Me Maestro is actually a fun novelty. You just swing the Wii remote around like you're conducting an orchestra, and it's a fun time. This was the mode I enjoyed the most. There's only 5 songs to play. Yeah, I'm not defending that. And when I screw around and pause, go fast and slow at odd intervals, I end up getting a better score than when I actually try. Handbell Harmony is like an actual rhythm game, where you along with a few others have to chime your bells when it's your color's time to shine. Yep, the rumors are true. This is an actual rhythm game, but like Me Maestro, it only has 5 songs. It's okay, just nothing special. And finally, there's Pitch Perfect, which is the most in-depth of the games, but it's just a bunch of music quizzes. Order from lowest to highest pitch, who played the wrong note, fix the song. It's not bad, but it goes on for 8 levels. It's really drawn out, and it's just the same thing over and over again. Then we have Lessons, which just goes over everything that adds up to a song. You play the percussion, the harmony, the melody, everything, and play an entire song yourself. However, all these different style lessons just all feel the same to me. You just play through a portion of the song, and then another, and then another, and then another, and it's always Twinkle Twinkle Little Star! I mean, things might change up in later lessons, but in the hour and a half of lessons I sludged through, every single style lesson has you play Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and nothing else. Look at this is a fever dream. I'm playing the song with myself and what's-her-face, Babs, I don't know. If I ever saw a blimp with the Wii Music logo on it in real life, I'd piss myself. Wii Music was designed as a way for anybody to enjoy making music. You don't have to learn how to play an instrument, you can just shake the controller and make the notes play, mimicking the use of an instrument. It has good intentions, and the idea of being able to play music without learning how to play music is pretty decent. However, it always just felt like it lacked a real point. Like everything I do in the game just doesn't feel like it amounts to anything. It doesn't really bring me the joy of playing music, it just feels like I'm making noise at the end of the day, even if I'm making a deliberate attempt to try to follow the song. Wii Music never tried to be like Guitar Hero or Rock Band. Those are actual games, while Wii Music is more so an application, a way to play music without learning an instrument. However, I feel like not having to learn a musical instrument takes a lot of the fun out of making music. It takes actual effort to play something correctly, which makes it much more satisfying. Just flailing your arms around doesn't bring you nearly the same amount of joy. It just feels like Wii Music is a bit confused as to who it's for and what it wants to be most of the time. Is it an educational tool? Maybe, but why are they like, don't read the notes, just play how you want? Is it a game? Not really, because there's really no risk of failure. Is it a music creation application? Well, you can't create your own songs. This is all just my opinion though. I've seen a decent amount of people say they were introduced to music production through this and they legitimately enjoyed the title. That's great that it introduced so many people to the medium. However, for me and many others, too many things just kept it from being all too great. The Wii Remote isn't accurate enough to detect a lot of the intricate movement of playing an instrument. Like, look at this, I'm not trying to play multiple notes, I'm just trying to play the ones they're telling me to play. Because of that, I think for most people, Wii Music just ends up being a fest. It doesn't punish you for anything outside of the minigames, you score your own performances. And I think at the very least it should have been more strict in the lessons. You can cruise through those things without moving the controller at all. What's the point of lessons if they let you do that? It's definitely more fun in multiplayer, but at that point you'd probably rather just boot up something else. So yes, as a game, Wii Music is pretty bad. As an application, it's incredibly flawed, but it did its job for a handful of people. Regardless, it's still hard for me to let that song selection slide. Who the hell looked at this thing and said, oh shit, Daydream Believer by the Monkees? Hey y'all, Scott here. I wanted to see what having a personality was like, so I like spelunking now. It's either this or misanthropy. But these caves hide a secret, and I'm gonna get to the bottom of it. Why everybody who plays Donkey Kong Barrel Blast absolutely in the beginning, everybody was a virgin. For 2,007 years, humanity was content with anything but genitals. But then, everything changed. Scholars consider June 28th to be the turning point, where large portions of society stopped using their thumbs for abstinence and used them for something else instead. They lost their virginity. Discarding their abstinence, these unvirgins formed a new group of humanity, what we now call people, whose numbers have been growing at a sexual pace. It's not because they like it. There's so much disease, overpopulation, and marriage caused by sexual activity. So why do they do it? It's the curse.
these poor souls became too distracted playing Donkey Kong Barrel Blast to fulfill their destiny and fell towards the darkness. But legend has it that one chosen virgin can break the curse of Barrel Blast, beat the game to defeat the monster from within, all while abstaining from sex and restoring virginity to our world. Society may have lost its virginity, but I'm here to find it. I have 2 duties today: beat Barrel Blast and not have sex. F it, let's add world peace to the list.
The beginning of the end. So let's talk about Donkey Kong. My hearing's not until 10. Picture this, Nintendo floundering. How? Prior to the 1980s, Nintendo would experiment with all kinds of business ventures, though toys and games were always a constant. That is a fact. But once video games and arcades became the latest fad, Nintendo knew they had to take a crack at it with EVR Red, Block Fever, Computer Othello. This isn't working out. Okay, the game Radar Scope was a monumental flop in North America. Just take those machines and make a new game out of them, and that is how we got to this point. The original Donkey Kong from the arcades, a smash hit born out of 1981, was one of the first platformers as we know them today, which is just one of the many reasons behind its importance. This was the game that solidified Nintendo as a titan in gaming, the game that gave Shigeru Miyamoto his start in game design and direction, the game that introduced the most iconic video game character, debatably fictional character, of all time. Jumpman. You ever just accept this as an icon of society? Mario's first appearance, originally named Jumpman, you got a 2-for-1 here with icons, though as a kid I found it strange how you didn't play as the titular character. I mean, it's straight up called Donkey Kong, Nintendo. Read the room.
Wanna play as an ape, wanna play as an ape.
All DK does is plant himself at the top of the screen and throw barrels at you, like any form of plagiarism would. And all these characters are based on the archetypes of the cast of Popeye, in addition to taking heavy inspiration from King Kong. But we're not here to argue whether Donkey Kong was plagiarism or not. We're here to agree. Regardless, Donkey Kong was an enormous success, and without it, we would not have Nintendo in the form we do today. Donkey Kong. Of course, now with the successful property, Nintendo learned that it's never too early to start giving up. Donkey Kong Jr. He f***ed. Here you play as Donkey Kong's son, who is tasked with saving Donkey Kong from Mario. It follows the same idea of get to the top, but I do think this one has a lot more strategy involved in terms of how to get there the quickest while racking up a high score. While Jr. did well, it didn't do as well as the original Donkey Kong. So take this, make a multi-billion-dollar franchise out of it, and take this, and just take it. While Mario spun off into his own franchise, the Donkey Kong series introduced Stanley the Bugman, a warning sign if I've ever seen one. Donkey Kong 3 is a vertical shooter where Stanley shoots bug spray into Donkey Kong ass Donkey Kong's Donkey Kong ass Donkey Kong ass. Get Donkey Kong to the top of the screen while shooting all the bees. Suffice to say, most players were not interested in bee-based software. Couple that with this releasing in 1983 right alongside the video game crash and just straight up not being anything like the previous Donkey Kong games, and Donkey Kong 3 killed the franchise, just like any Donkey Kong 3 would. Any series that's tried it, it's never worked out. Afterwards, the DK series is relegated to re-releases and Donkey Kong Jr. math, the sign of any healthy franchise. But then, a decade after Donkey Kong 3, Nintendo revived and rebooted the series with Donkey Kong Country, developed by the studio Rare. It didn't evolve the arcade gameplay, rather it took the character of Donkey Kong, made him the protagonist, and built new worlds, characters, and a standardized style of gameplay to make this more of an actual series rather than flavor of the month, spray this monkey's ass with bug spray.
I'll take chocolate.
Your villains were the Kremlings. You had a whole Kong family, including Donkey Kong's new sidekick, Diddy Kong. You had some of the most impressive graphics on a console up to that point. Donkey Kong Country was a massive success, and every massive success leads to a sexual revolution. Donkey Kong Country 2, 3, Game Boy side games, Donkey Kong Land 1, 2, and 3, Donkey Kong 64, bringing the series into 3D for the first time ever, all developed by Rare. Donkey Kong was finally starting to be treated like the Mario series with all this support. But even when that series was just a spin-off of Donkey Kong, it received loads of spin-offs itself in the form of Dr. Mario, Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Kart. So with all of these new games taking place in a world primed for expansion, it was fair to expect Donkey Kong to receive some spin-offs of his own, and in 1997, damn it, Diddy Kong Racing, not Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong doesn't appear at all in this game. In fact, fundamentally, no Donkey Kong or Donkey Kong Country elements appear outside of Diddy Kong himself. Like, you made this whole ass new world in the country games, and then the racing game's spin-off features crunch. These are just a bunch of damn Build-A-Bears. But hey, Diddy Kong Racing was an excellent excellent kart racer, one that, to some, surpassed Mario Kart 64.
You can tell it did by all the sequels it got.
And it was still developed by Rare. They made all the Donkey Kong related stuff back then, and going into the GameCube generation, they were poised to make more.
Oh, come on!
That threw a wrench into plans, one of the most infamous studio acquisitions of all time. Microsoft buying Rare, making it impossible for them to continue being the head developer of Donkey Kong, considering how they were owned by Nintendo's rival. Many look at this as one of Nintendo's biggest blunders. I mean, outside of Donkey Kong, Rare developed GoldenEye, Banjo-Kazooie? You fool! But the thing is, I feel like if Nintendo saw legitimate value in their continued relationship with Rare, they would have purchased them, no doubt. Even though Nintendo owned 49% of the company at the time, Rare went to them as game development was becoming too expensive for them not to be a flat-out subsidiary. And Nintendo said no. They bought ND Cube 10 years later. They made Tube Slider. And even though they supposedly made some bids to buy Rare once Microsoft and Activision were throwing offers around, just the fact that they allowed an opening for them to be purchased by a competitor in the first place says to me they didn't value their work as much as we think they did. I mean, Rare made like half the Nintendo 64 library, and you bought... Welcome back to Nintendo Makes Good Choices. Oh, man. Rare did have some Donkey Kong projects in the works at the time, though. All spin-offs, actually. There was Donkey Kong Coconut Crackers, a puzzle game for Game Boy Advance, and Diddy Kong Pilot, a Game Boy Advance successor to Diddy Kong Racing. While Microsoft forbade Rare from making GameCube games, they could still produce Game Boy Advance titles simply because Microsoft wasn't in the handheld market. So bring on It's Mr. Pants.
And 9 months later, you were born.
These were reworked versions of those Donkey Kong projects. Coconut Crackers became Pants, and Diddy Kong Pilot became Banjo Pilot. But there was a big one that never saw the light of day. Donkey Kong Racing for GameCube. This seemed to be the logical evolution of Diddy Kong Racing, incorporating far more Donkey Kong Country elements, riding animal buddies from those games, taking place in these jungle settings. But of course, this was canceled after Rare's acquisition. They attempted to rework it into a few different projects without the DK license for Xbox and Xbox 360. That never worked. Guys, it's not Donkey Kong Racing. It's Earl! While all these projects were retooled or canceled, Nintendo and Rare would collaborate again via the Donkey Kong Country re-releases for GBA. Yeah, sure, we can still be friends. You'll just hear me and my new boyfriend f*** all the time. Rare developed these ports, so there was some wiggle room for them to work on Nintendo games. Maybe they could make some brand new portable DK titles.
Tell me when.
The 2000s! Listen, I'm just throwing it out there. Bad era for Donkey Kong. Economic recession. Without its key developer of the past decade, I think Nintendo didn't really know what to do with this thing. Be honest, if you had the keys to this kingdom, you wouldn't either. So f*** it, let's get weird. All according to plan. The most well-known Donkey Kong project from the 2000s has to be the Donkey Konga series, rhythm games for the GameCube developed by Namco, specifically because of their work on the Taiko Drum Master games. I mean, comparing the two, they're very similar, but where Donkey Konga differs is its use of well, that, and the DK Bongos accessory. Sure, you can play Donkey Konga with a regular controller.
You can also brush your teeth with mice.
But it was designed around the DK Bongos. Smack and clap along to the music. It was a gimmicky yet very novel spin-off idea for DK. The barrel-like bongos were a trademark of the series ever since that first arcade game. The title itself featured characters from the Donkey Kong Country series. Diddy Kong Racing may have been the better Donkey Kong spin-off, but Donkey Konga was the better Donkey Kong spin-off. And a lot of that was due to those damn bongos. I mean, talk about unique accessories. Come on, talk about them. So, of course, you couldn't just stop at one use for these things. I mean, they're bongos. There's a million things you can do with them, all of which are Donkey Konga based. Donkey Konga 2 is basically just more of the same, now with an updated song list, and the same can be said for Donkey Konga 3, though that one never left Japan. They wanted to make the most out of these bongos, and after 3 rhythm games, many would stop right there, but Nintendo refused. This was Donkey Kong Now, a bongo's bitch, because Nintendo's prime development team, EAD, pumped out Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, a brand new Donkey Kong platformer for GameCube designed around using the DK bongos.
To prove the skeptics wrong?
I mean, Jungle Beat is a very well-designed and fun game, and a new Donkey Kong platformer developed in-house at Nintendo ain't something to complain about if you weren't in the house next to them. Donkey Kong's presence on the handhelds was just as abnormal, though. Outside of the country games, we got DK King of Swing on the GBA in 2005, developed by Payon. somebody had to do it. Now, who is Pan? Well, the developer of DK King of Swing, of course. Thanks, Dad. They seem to be mostly a support studio, one you call if you need help getting things done. But this happens to be one of their few sole development credits. This is a Pan-only joint, and it's something only they can do. Disappoint me. The King of Swing isn't bad, it just feels painfully generic. Like, this could have been for any franchise, but with an added Donkey Kong coat of paint. Ew. It's just a puzzle platformer, nothing too offensive, but my god, when I look at this, I want to feel! You grab onto these walls and continually move clockwise or counterclockwise, depending on what hand you grab them with. It's a fine idea, it's just the execution is a bit bland. At that time, King of Swing was the closest we really got to a traditional DK game outside of Jungle Beat, and how close was that really? Oh, Jungle Beat only retained Donkey Kong, bananas, and barrels from DKC. Outside of that, that's what I'm saying! Pan proved themselves worthy of crafting new yet simple Donkey Kong-based experiences for handheld, so Nintendo commissioned them again for a King of Swing sequel on Nintendo DS, DK Jungle Climber. God damn, I mean, DK King of Swing was simplistic looking, but at the very least it had some sort of funky style to it. This is just pathetic. Like, don't do that! So Pan was head of the DK series, pumping out tolerable experiences. Rare came back one last time to develop a Nintendo DS remake of Diddy Kong Racing with more Donkey Kong references in tow, both in 2007. So Nintendo was pumping out DK spin-offs like mad this year. Why not another? Hey, so we have one series of DK spin-offs made by Pan, another focused on racing, even if Donkey Kong Racing never saw the light of day, and another that'll get you evicted. So for the third Donkey Kong spin-off in 2007, let us combine all three to get— oh, what the f—
The Donkey Kong series has been through so much. Imagine what its therapy sessions are like. This era of the franchise can definitely be attributed to Rare's acquisition by Microsoft, so all Nintendo knew how to do was to contract companies to make spin-offs for them, until they eventually found a new home for the mainline series with Retro Studios in 2010 with Donkey Kong Country Returns. But before that, we got one last whimper from this era of spin-offs in 2007. Why don't you ever hear anybody talk about this game? Because everybody who's played it is too busy f***ing their wife.
Donkey Kong Barrel Blast, the 10th commandment. Generally considered one of the worst Nintendo games of all time, Barrel Blast sits at a 46 on Metacritic, which is the same as Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, worse than Balan Wonderworld, Aliens Colonial Marines. Some of the most notorious bad video games of the 21st century, and Donkey Kong Barrel Blast is right there with them. Is this reception fair, or did a bunch of game reviewers trip and fall? You know, I have heard some people say this game is unfairly hated. I've also heard voices in my head. So who knows, maybe this was just a misunderstanding.
She may have killed my brother, but maybe he was lying.
Barrel Blast was developed by Pan once again. I guess Nintendo saw them as the home of DK spin-offs back then. What an honor. This title was originally announced at E3 2006 for the Nintendo GameCube under the name DK Bongo Blast. You can see a few instances of King of Swing inspiration, such as Donkey Kong's player icon here, as well as just using the abbreviation DK in the title. But this was a completely different beast from what Pan developed before. This was a racing game, and not just any racing game, a bad one. This was set to be the 5th game compatible with the DK bongos, 6 if they had courage. But hey, this looked like another interesting and creative use of the accessory. The one problem, I demand phallic jokes! E3 2006 was definitely a passing of the torch between the GameCube and Wii. Nintendo was preparing for its next console after the last one sort of flopped, though not without a few last releases for that struggling GameCube. Nintendo wasn't gonna end their system without a bang. 2006 gave us Chibi-Robo, Odama, Baten Kaido's Origins, and the death of Gerald Ford. While Nintendo was planning to support the GameCube in its last few years, most of the titles in development were pushed towards its successor, the Wii, even if those titles were already revealed and demoed at events running on GameCube. The most notorious was The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess, which did still end up releasing on GameCube, though this was more so out of obligation. Super Paper Mario was originally shown for GameCube, though that version was scrapped entirely in favor of it being a Wii exclusive, and much like that game, DK Bongo Blast quickly moved over to Wii as well. I mean, the change was announced roughly 3 months after it debuted as a GameCube exclusive, because the Wii lineup without it just made no damn sense. By spring of 2007, it was confirmed to only be releasing on Wii, renamed to Donkey Kong Jet Race in Europe, and over here, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast. Oh, excuse me, Europe. Barrel Blast. It was to launch in Japan on June 28th, 2007, North America on October 8th, and Europe on January 25th, 2008. They were a late bloomer.
And 2007 was a monumental year, one of the biggest years ever for gaming and DVDs. Something had to give. You couldn't experience everything, so when Barrel Blast launched, many players had to choose between maintaining abstinence and playing Barrel Blast. Those poor bastards never looked back. I've only played this game for a bit, That's basically just grazing a crotch. But that tells me I am the chosen one. I tried playing it before, I couldn't. So I tried another copy, and about 40 copies later, it's tough, but I made some progress in the game. Okay, I can withstand this. I am immune to this game's spooky groin expansion, and it will not affect my schedule. I have things to do tomorrow. I've tried getting laid in the past, but not anymore. I'm tired of no sex being shunned in society. I'm tired of being the virgin in the haystack. I'm no longer following society. Society's gonna follow me, and everybody's gonna have not sex and harmony. Nobody will feel left out, and I'll get recognition. A custom mug at least. I could use a bodyguard to ensure no unnecessary crotch enters the premises, but I must go forth regardless. With great power comes great virginity. I will restore chastity to this world. I can beat Barrel Blast without having sex.
Impractical.
The door wasn't locked.
My sirens are going off. Goes off whenever somebody's trying to
You sure that wasn't an air monitor?
As sure as I am cordial. Anybody trying to lose their virginity?
I've loosened my virginity.
Do you know what that thing's capable of? It's a ticking time bomb of testosterone!
Hey, I'm taking precautions.
As somebody who's not a fan of sex, let alone your I have an obligation to society to prevent you from mating, okay? This thing ruined my family, and it gave us more of them.
And I appreciate that, but the only way we can live in a sex-free community is by beating this game to break the curse. And I could use your help.
Normally I'd cry shit and bitch about the thought of doing anything in relation to that game, but I'm a pretty open-minded kind of guy, okay? And I'd do anything to unban the act of no sex in society. I'm in. So the only way to stop f***ing is to start f***ing?
Yep, and we're about to film our first sex tape.
Donkey Kong Barrel Blast or Donkey Kong Jet Race. Which one's the better name? The one that's not this. Shake the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to race. What is this, some kind of shitty game? Obviously with the jump to Wii, they had to include Wii Remote controls, and these seem to be a direct conversion of how your integrity would be lost with the DK bongos. But hey, the Wii supports GameCube controllers. You can play GameCube games on the Wii, including all the DK bongo games. Hell, some Wii games allow you to use GameCube controllers. So, of course, with Barrel Blast being designed to use the DK bongos, it just makes perfect sense for the final release to support the accessory, or at the very least, the traditional GameCube controller, as it was clear you could use it with older builds of the game. But of course, what makes more sense? This game doing that, or realizing I have trust issues?
Lucky you, that's the first step to not getting laid.
So that's what foreplay sounds like. Gotta say, Barrel Blast is one of the quickest loading Wii games I've ever played. Didn't even flinch. Unlike me, that's all I'm doing. Look at all these options. We can play 4 tracks in a row, not play 4 tracks in a row, not play 4 tracks in a row faster, not play 4 tracks in a row, and not give a shit. On the right-hand side, we can check out Cranky's Flight School, records, options, and Candy's challenges.
This is gonna pose a problem.
Well, let's start off with a Jungle Grand Prix. We choose our character. I got Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and epididymal hypertension. But right below them are the Kremlings from the Donkey Kong Country series. Turns out the character roster here is focused on the Kongs versus the Kremlings, light versus dark, good versus evil, Christ versus Satanism. Every Kong has to have a rival, and because of that, half of these Kremlings were created just for Barrel Blast. Yeah, there's only like a handful of Kremlings that are legitimate characters, so Bayon had to go out of their way to craft Kludge. Yep, that is not organic. Come on, you had loads of Kremlings to choose from. We live in a world where Klubba exists, and you're just not gonna take advantage of that? I mean, it's kind of a cute idea to build your character roster out of the concept of heroes versus villains, but I think they finalized that idea before going, so in comes the Kremlings. We got Critter with Kip and Cass as newcomers. Who are Kip and Cass? Well, Diddy and Dixie Kong's rivals, of course. Thank you, Dad. I'll pick Donkey Kong because I need a character flaw. Rookie difficulty, Topaz Cup, and DK Bongos because this game supports them and I'm not narcoleptic. No support for the DK bongos. The entire reason behind this game's concept, the entire reason this game exists in the first place. Now, it's just shake the Wii Remote and Nunchuck to race. Yeah, well, that's not a selling point. That's a cautionary tale. The Wii's appeal was that the motion controls mimicked real-life scenarios, which is why Mario Kart Wii came bundled with the Wii wheel and had you steer as if you were driving a car. That was legitimately exciting for casual audiences back then. But
Barrel Blast came out earlier, and what does Barrel Blast do to simulate driving with this immersive motion-based video game controller? Suffice to say, I failed my initial driving test. So, Donkey Kong Barrel Blast is a racing game in the DK universe designed around the DK bongos. Thus, of course, all characters have rocket-powered bongos attached to them at all times, naturally. By hitting them, you accelerate and can move left or right by hitting left or right. Now, with the bongos peripheral, it's obviously one big, giant, stupid excuse to use them, but a creative and somewhat charming one at the very least. Without the bongos, it goes from stupid to just fucking dumb. Shake the controllers as if you're banging on the bongos. Wow, it's so realistic. This is the best way this game could have possibly been played. It's almost like I'm actually banging on bongos, and only the Wii Remote and Nunchuck could replicate this sensation. Here's the thing though, you may think that you have to shake the controllers throughout the whole race. No, all you have to do is shake them enough to get to max speed, and then you're all set. You move forward automatically, like most apes on a jet. And to shift from left or right, shake left or right, jump by smacking both of them down. It's pretty simple. So is murder. You ruined a perfectly good jet barrel race game with motion controls, Nintendo. Why do you keep doing that? I'm not gonna say these controls don't work, but that doesn't mean I'm not thinking it. While this functions, it's far from enjoyable. It's tolerable at best. A gimmick like this only works when you go all the way with it, i.e., bongos. Simulating that gimmick rather than just doing it makes the entire experience feel unnecessary. Like, what's the point? See, they wanted to design a racing game around that old peripheral, much like how Jungle Beat was, with these both feeling like the developers were challenging themselves. Let's make a platformer that uses bongos. It worked, but definitely made the game a bit inaccessible, so when they brought Jungle Beat over to the Wii in 2009, they tweaked the title to be playable with the Wii Remote and Nunchuck, which made it easier to appreciate Jungle Beat from a level design perspective. Though, weirdly enough, its existence felt a bit more forced without the DK bongos. Still a solid game, though what made it special and unique was gone. You can't just expect a game that was designed to work with this to be just as fun and quirky without it. Yeah, it's easier to play Dance Dance Revolution with a D-pad. Doesn't make you likable. But what if you took Dance Dance Revolution and removed the dance mat, removed the D-pad controls, and forced you to waggle the Wii Remote in the direction it tells you? Do you think that would be stupid? No, that's not stupid. That's Donkey Kong Barrel Blast and stupid. The controls here are dumb. They're just dumb. Imagine if in Mario Kart you had to stand up to use an item. No reason, you just have to stand up. It's unique. That's this game's reasoning behind its motives. Shaking to get to max speed is undeniably irritating. Even though you only have to do it for a bit at the start and then you're golden, every time you hit, you lose momentum and you have to shake the controllers to get back up to speed. God damn! I mean, this isn't like in Mario Kart where, oh, you got hit, bam, you're back in action in a few seconds. Barrel Blast, everything stops. It just stops. Things screech to a crawl when you get hit, and then you have to get back up to top speed, but if you don't have a straight, large stretch of land to shake to, if you get hit in a field full of obstacles, or God forbid, at all, it's a bitch to get up and running again, and you have to deal with the shame and embarrassment of going 10 while everybody else is going 20. This is one of the slowest damn ape racing games I've ever played. Nintendo disagrees. And it's all made worse by the fact that all the tracks have bumper lanes. You can't fall off. You can't go off course. You can't lose at the game. You can just do really poorly. So you pretty much cruise through the levels automatically. You can't fall off the track. You can't veer off the track. You can't go any faster than this. What's the challenge? Having arms. It wears on you, not even physically, but mentally. Constantly hearing the bongo taps come out of the Wii Remote speaker, doing the same movements with your arms over and over again while falling deeper and deeper into this game's core values.
I can't do this anymore. I feel cold.
I can tell.
I may be able to withstand a video game for the betterment of society, but my immune system can't.
Jesus, you look horrible.
Hey!
You need nourishment. I need no sex. Stat!
It can't be delivered. You can't mail hazardous materials.
No sex delivery. He's a vigilante. I prefer the term felon.
This is a gun.
Hey, nice setup. I love walls. You want to stay? I got 3 more of them.
So I'm trying to stop sex and I need help doing it, so I have Rex over here guarding me, making sure I stop sex without having sex, but he can't handle all this sex. So I was wondering if you could stick around to resuscitate him if possible, so I can continue to not have sex while having sex, while Rex guards me, while you guard Rex. That would be great.
Damn, is that a monkey with sunglasses?
Is this what the gun was for?
To be fair, there's some strategy here. See those bananas? You want to collect them to fill up your wild move meter. Finally, a racing game with a wild move meter. It's fundamentally just a boost that you pull off by holding the analog stick in whatever direction to charge and letting go to accelerate for a bit. But running into other players, enemies, or barrels laid across the track while one is still in effect continues the wild move for longer. So if you string together enough combos, I mean, do I have to spell it out for you? Pulling off wild moves effectively is how you get far in Barrel Blast, so you want to pull one of them out when you see a string of barrels or some other obstacle you could ram into. This is the defining element of Barrel Blast's game design, boosting into things and creating combos, and you know what? It might be something I consider to be enjoyable? Wait! When you're boosting and trying to maneuver to the nearest obstacle that you can combo into, this is when the game is fast, frantic, when it has more strategy. It's satisfying to pull off a large string of wild moves, but it just doesn't happen enough! Oftentimes, there's only like 2 sets of barrels near each other, so it's like, okay, that was pointless. Obstacles aren't set up in enough ways across all of the tracks to make this a compelling gameplay element, and most of the time there's too much shit in the way, like these steel barrels. These don't count. But much like life, you can always resort to violence. The shit out, you can beat it, all with the A button. So you can punch enemies, opponents, and barrels with A, use items with B, pause the game with plus, back out with home, turn off with power, throw it out with spite. But before all of that, you want to check out these items you can pick up on the track. Any mascot kart racer needs fun and creative items to use against other players, and Donkey Kong Barrel Blast? Well, joke's on you, those aren't carts. This one gets you bananas. This one gets you more bananas. This one is bad bananas. The items in this game are boring as hell. Most of them feel like they kind of do the same thing and that there's no real strategy to using them. It's just get an item, use it immediately. That's what I do with all of them, and while a good chunk of items have equivalents in Mario Kart, they're so much lamer here. What, the blue shell? It targets the player in first place and explodes on impact. Quacks? He flies to first place and takes 10 bananas from the player while pecking at him. Watch out, motherfuckers, I have quacks!
Whoa! You scared me there.
Stop sucking this game's c***.
I wouldn't if it had one.
But then you have Squawks, which flies up to the player in front of you and stops them from using wild moves. Mini Neki goes to the player behind you and takes 10 bananas from them, which is just the same as Quacks, but it's punching down and looks completely f***ing different. Worcestershire? Prop Monkey gets sent out to the players in front of you and gets rid of their bananas, so it's the same as Squawks, but it just makes you look like an ass. Oh wow, the tasty melon makes you invincible, and you haven't played this game. Why? The blazing banana gets laid out on the track and makes opponents lose bananas if they hit it. Oh my god, just each other already. These items are boring as hell and are just a means to an end. Each one is so specific in what it does, and it's not readily apparent based on how the item looks. How most of the time after I use an item, I still have no clue how it works. Like, oh man, I got an item. The f do you want me to do with this info? Now, there is a special gimmick with these things. The item boxes are balloons, both blue and red. Red balloons are for the Kongs, blue are for the Kremlings. Well, you can go through either or as one or the other. If you go through the balloon color of your team, your item will be a little enhanced. So since the melon is only in the red balloons as a Kong, you'll be invincible for longer. Since Mini Neki is only in the blue balloons as a Kremling, using them will not only nab 10 bananas from your opponent, but remove a wild move of theirs as well. And this mentality applies to pretty much every item in the game. Where would I be without him? Not a horrible idea, but not necessarily a creative one. This feels like such a surface level fan idea for a new Mario Kart game. Ooh, different item boxes for different characters. How about different tires, but only for Lemmy? Well, this is a racing game, so it all comes down to the course design. 16 tracks included across 6 cups. A great deal, I say as I'm paying for college. I mean, 16 tracks is the going rate for most Mario Kart titles, so at the time of this game's release, Mario Kart games are starting to include 32 courses, 16 new and 16 retro. No worries, no worries. Donkey Kong Barrel Blast is a new concept for humanity. We can't expect it to have everything Mario Kart has right out the gate. It's a newborn, an infant. Treat it with respect. So 16 tracks overall, that's nothing to sneeze at. Let's see them.
Achoo.
We got DK Jungle Falls, which is more DK Jungle Sunset,
Which could be anything.
Salty Sea, Shimmering Sea, Open Ocean, all seaside tracks, Mount Dynamite Remix. They didn't even try to hide that one. You see what the problem is here? Yes, there may be 16 courses, but when there are only 7 distinct themes, there could be 40 of them and it wouldn't make a difference. And with every track basically being on rails without being able to fall off the course, it's hard to really tell each one apart and pick favorites outside of the limited themes. Oh, why do you like DK Jungle Falls compared to DK Jungle? Well, I like this barrel being there instead of that barrel being there. And 6 cups? Yeah, sure. The final 2 are Selection Cup and Random Cup. The former giving you the ability to pick whatever 5 tracks to play in a row, and the latter being a random assortment of 5 tracks being played in a row. Why stop there? Why not a Random Selection Cup, where they give you a random limited assortment of tracks to select from? Why not a cup that lets you schedule when you want to play it? Why not a cup that's a calculator?
God, there's so many options here. I could imagine doing this alone? With another person? Heck, maybe even 4.
Why would you though? To see 5 of the 16 tracks have bees as an obstacle?
That's more impressive than you may think. Were bees in Citizen Kane?
Maybe not. But they were around during Genghis Khan's raid, and they did nothing about it.
Hey, let me watch my apes in peace.
You're a sick wench!
Oh, come on, you're just being a fucking loser.
Oh, I haven't lost anything.
Guys, it's really hard to stay abstinent with all this shouting.
Here, mark him with this so I can always tell which one of us is a fucking creep!
What does the A stand for?
You're a fucking creep!
Playing through the cups, you can unlock a decent selection of the characters. You get the mainstays, Lanky Kong, Funky Kong, Tiny Kong, Kludge, Copter. Were you expecting a crocodile with an afro? Good. The rest of the characters you unlock via Candy's challenges, an excuse to ogle a monkey. Just go to the zoo! Here we have 32 challenges to complete, where you only play as Donkey Kong, with characters like Wrinkly Kong, Cranky Kong, Clump, and King K. Rool being locked behind certain ones. And there we have it, the final roster. You know, with half the Kremlings being original creations just for Barrel Blast, I have to once again severely question the choice to make this roster heroes versus villains. There are so many other characters from Donkey Kong that could have and should have made it in before Kludge. I believe in what I believe. But it's all worth it to see a full lineup of characters I'll never use. Plus, they all have their own unique stats, so if you needed a reason to use Clump over Kludge, you don't. But to get to this point, you have to go through some of the most tedious challenges I have ever endured. 32 challenges, roughly 1/3 of them take place on the same DK jungle track. Roughly another third takes place on the Cranky's Flight School variant of that map. You had the chance to split up like 2 challenges per track. Instead, there are straight up tracks that just don't have any representation here. So damn many of these are on the exact same course, and the challenges themselves? Collect 200 bananas. Collect 700 bananas. Collect 200 bananas. All run by a monkey that I don't know what Nintendo wants me to think of. Like, Jesus, Candy, just wear a name tag. But hidden behind the final challenge is one last unlockable character. On DK Jungle, goddammit.
I thought you were a virgin!
Yeah, you're getting like a pro.
This challenge is absurd for no other reason than they make the time to complete it like 2 seconds shorter than it should be. You have to punch the barrels and use your wild moves at just the right time. And even when you do, like, what did I do wrong? And finally, after winning, I don't know what I did right. But for completing all the missions, we unlock Ultra Barrel Donkey Kong. We just have to hover over Donkey Kong and old Z to play as it, but Jesus Christ! While the other characters are fairly well balanced, Ultra Barrel DK is literally the best in all categories. Like God intended, sure, but does that make for a fair game? If every character could use the Ultra Barrels, sure, maybe, but no! This breaks everything! Your prize for beating the game? Never playing it again. I mean, why bother? There's nothing else to do. What, does Cranky's Flight School count? Say it does. I dare you. There's nothing else here. No track editor, no story mode, no online. I mean, just compare this to Mario Kart Wii, a game that released a few months later, all right? You get 32 tracks, multiple control schemes with many relying on motion control, online multiplayer, online tournaments with missions, battle mode with 10 tracks exclusive to it, 26 characters with 3 of them being from Donkey Kong, 36 different vehicles, while this one, Kludge. Jesus Christ, even Diddy Kong Racing on the Nintendo 64 had more content outside of the characters, but at least all of them were more unique. Barrel Blast's lack of content can be attributed to it being a gimmick title at its core. We're only making this to see if we can, and you're only buying this because you make poor life choices. But on the Wii, this is one of the most useless games I've ever experienced. If it used the DK bongos, it may not have been better, but it would have made more sense. Though, I don't think it's as horrible as people make it out to be. Oh, it's bad, sure, but a lot of the complaints I can't really get behind. The visuals? I mean, sure, they aren't groundbreaking, but it runs fine and looks better than most Wii games that were on the market. Acting like it looks worse than a GameCube game? Like, have you seen worse than a GameCube game? That's just a dog's ass. It didn't have online multiplayer. Sure, that's ridiculous in the context of the value of the package in comparison to other racing games at the time, but is that really a problem when you don't like the game to begin with? This game has horrible controls, bland track design, and worst of all, I can't play it for hours on end with my buds. The core gameplay isn't horrible. I think there's some merit to the ideas like the wild moves, but with the slow speed, limited number of unique courses, funky controls, lack of modes, and no real purpose to existing, like, why would you play this? Oh yeah, that.
You did it.
All in a day's work. You know, I thought Barrel Blast was gonna be horrible. No, it was just bad.
I remember my first time.
Wasn't this your first time?
Yeah, I remember it.
I beat the game, but the curse hasn't lifted. People are still f***ing. If people weren't still f***ing, Rex would be senator.
Oh, looks like you still have one challenge left.
Wait, what? You know what? No. It doesn't matter. Barrel Blast is always going to exist no matter what, and as long as it's not forced upon anybody, who cares? We shouldn't judge people who play it or not. Playing it doesn't make you disgusting, or not playing it doesn't make you a loser. We're all adults here and on different paths of life. Maybe you've already played Barrel Blast, or maybe you haven't. But it doesn't make you a better or worse person because of it.
You know what? My uncle was a big fan of Barrel Blast. I kept hearing all these stories about people telling me, oh, he's so cool just because of it. Like, he was getting hyped up so much, he could finish the game in 14 seconds flat.
My grandpa could do it in 10.
But my aunt, she only played Barrel Blast the one time.
My cousin could play it twice.
Well, everybody thought less of her because of it. And I've distanced myself from that entire side of the family. I shouldn't have. I let my own personal way of life cloud my judgment of others. I get that I may be against everything this game stands for, but that doesn't mean other people should be chastised for doing what they love. Jeb, you're not a fucking creep. You're a fucking friend.
You know what? It was wrong of me to think so lowly of you because you didn't enjoy the game. I mean, I personally love Barrel Blast, but that doesn't mean you have to.
Even if I beat Barrel Blast, curse or no curse, it's not gonna make people stop doing what they want to do. As long as they're not hurting others or themselves, what gives me the right to want them to conform to what I am? All that matters is that I'm comfortable with myself. And no matter how much changes, I'm always gonna be that virgin at heart, regardless of if I beat Barrel Blast or not. And I'm gonna. Oh, I'm beating this Donkey Kong game without having sex. Because I'm a virgin, damn it!
Yeah! Get up! Just don't get up!
I did it.
Hey y'all, Scott here. I will transform this into a better game. There's no game. Yeah, who's your biggest enemy? I know you're somebody's. Time and time again, Nintendo proves they think the absolute lowest of their customer base. Go lower. Mario Sports Superstars. What you call what? I call how. How could Nintendo think they could get away with selling such a poor quality product? Next question. Why do I keep buying games from a company that treats me like dog shit? How would I know they treat me like dog shit if I don't keep buying games from them? This is one of those bad Nintendo games your mom always warned you about. You, Mom! I should have listened. Mario Sports Games. Yeah, I met him once, and he was a dick! Well, once were fun and well thought out multiplayer spin-offs became the bane of my existence. That's my kryptonite. Listen, for a while there, you could always count on Mario Sports Games to deliver the goods, alright? Not all of them may have been for everybody, but you could see the clear love, passion, and quality within each and every one. These weren't Mario Sports Games, these were Mario Sports Games. I mean, if I saw this happen at a baseball game, I'd never trust science again. Look at how wacky and fun all this is. Now look at FIFA. I don't even see colored socks. Hey, these are two sides of the same coin, and neither one is necessarily better or worse than the other. You may want your sports game to be as kooky as possible, or you may be wrong. But games like Mario Golf, Mario Tennis, Mario Baseball, and Mario Strikers all had their place. They had a purpose, a reason to exist. So did Lincoln. And you know what they did to him? I did not remember this in class. After Mario Super Sluggers on the Wii, Mario Sports Games weren't on a
hiatus per se, but you can't deny something was up. Nothing for a few years, until Mario Sports Mix on the Wii in 2011. Sure, we got a Wii re-release of Mario's Power Tennis from the GameCube and the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games titles, but those make my statements invalid. Mario Sports Mix seemed to be the ultimate Mario sports game. 4 sports in 1! The only way you could beat that is if... well, that's just fucking ridiculous. As a kid, you couldn't fathom why you would possibly buy a single Mario Golf game instead of Mario Sports Mix. That's just idiotic to think you could get more out of 1 sport than 4. And that's when I checked into rehab. Mario Sports Mix isn't bad, it's just largely skippable. Like, the only reason you'd play this is if you don't give a shit what you play. The 4 sports, basketball, volleyball, dodgeball, and hockey, are all structured and presented in the same way, which leads to none of them sticking out all too much. And because the developers had to divide their attention amongst 4 different sports, not one of them got the attention necessary to be anything more than a fun distraction. This game was developed by Square Enix. Yeah, right. And I'm a mass murderer. Damn it. Mario Sports Mix was a fun enough multiplayer game, just not one I ever went back to much. Though it wasn't of a bad quality, like I said, it was a fun enough distraction and fit right alongside the other games I've spoken about. Look at these special Mario-themed arenas and mini-games, all this craziness happening. You can play as Square Enix icons like Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest characters because Sleeping Dogs wasn't made yet. We may not have gotten, say, the new Mario Golf since 2004, but Sports Mix did enough to keep the dream of quality Mario sports games alive. Wait, what's that? No Mario Strikers, no Mario Baseball, bad Mario Tennis, good Mario Golf. I usually like to pinpoint the exact moment when a Nintendo fan is lying. I love this company. There it is. The quality and quantity of these games plummeted. Even Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games met some of their lowest lows in this era. For the most part, it no longer felt like the developers of these titles wanted to make good games. Rather, it felt like they were contracted to fill a release slot on Nintendo's calendar. You could almost tell how little they thought of the consumers by how lacking these games were in content. Mario and Sonic at Rio 2016 and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash being prime examples. Bare-bones sports games decorated with Mario characters, barely any unique environments, power-ups, wacky mechanics. Like, at this point, you might as well play a regular tennis game. Which is to say, die. Mario Tennis Open was okay, and Mario Golf World Tour was quite good. But that didn't take away from the feeling that games like this were going downhill hard. But even after so many misfires, I'm always first in line to pick a new one up. Masochism. And you know what year a Mario sports game sounded real good? Yeah, we could have used one then. And 2016. One of the cruelest years to be a Nintendo fan. 2015 may have had some of the worst releases in the company's history, but 2016 had some of the most nothing releases in the company's history. It was obvious Nintendo was biding time until the Nintendo Switch's release in March of 2017 and had very little left to supply Wii U owners until then. Though the 3DS release schedule was at least a bit more plentiful. However, most titles that year were just ports, localizations, Mario Party Star Rush. Yes, there was content on the handheld, but outside of Pokemon Sun and Moon, it wasn't substantial content. So believe me, when a Nintendo 3DS Direct presentation was announced for September 1st, 2016, everybody was positively negative. Keep in mind, with the Nintendo Switch launching that March, it wasn't formally announced until October, so nearly the entirety of 2016 was filled with fans frothing at the mouth for a reveal. Nintendo's home console was dead, their handheld was in purgatory, and their next console nobody knew anything about. So thank God I have hobbies. So after waiting, and waiting, and waiting, we finally got a showcase of nothing but Nintendo 3DS games. This crusty ass gadget from 2011, not only was it starting to get hard to be excited for games on the thing, but this also wasn't the thing we wanted to see games on. Any game that would come to this, the first question out of my mouth would be, why? Regardless, this 3DS Direct had numerous announcements, showing that the handheld was still alive and, well, but all of a sudden, tucked into a string of other games being talked about was a brand new 3DS game, a brand new Mario Sports game. This was Mario Sports Superstars. You sure about that? Ah, a successor to Mario Sports Mix. Maybe. Nothing about this feels or looks like the Wii game outside of the first 2 words in the title. No returning sports from that one, none of the same style or flair, no similar mechanics, not even done by the same developers. These may sound like they're from the same sub-series, but they really aren't. So then what is Mario Sports Superstars? Well, a collection of 5 different sports That's possible? Well, I'll be. What are they? Maybe American football or boxing? Maybe even bowling? How about soccer?
Okay, well, we've done that before.
Baseball?
Yeah, I've heard of that one.
Tennis?
I don't know what you want me to say.
Golf?
Yep, those are all Mario Sports series.
Horse racing?
Took you long enough.
During the announcement, they made sure to go, and when we say soccer, we're talking the full-on 11 versus 11 rules.
And when we say soccer, we're talking the full-on 11 versus 11 rules.
What do you think I was expecting?
These are the full-fledged sports, they say. They not only have single-player tournaments for each one, but local and online multiplayer modes as well. It's launching in spring of 2017, and that's it! This is one of those announcements that you initially say, it's a Mario sports game, yay! But then you start looking at what the footage they showed you is actually showing you. Nothing. These characters have never looked more lifeless and out of place. It's like you're watching actual soccer with the players in mascot costumes. Tennis and golf look like they were ripped straight from Mario Tennis Open and Mario Golf World Tour on the 3DS, which, hey, maybe that meant those sports would be pretty in-depth since they were full-fledged games before, but I don't know, man. Then there's horse racing.
You're damn right there is.
But this was pretty much all they said about Mario Sports Superstars. A collection of 5 sports with Mario characters. Sure, the concept had potential. It sounded like a pretty sweet deal. But then consider how Mario Sports Mix sounded like a great deal and turned out to be lacking a lot of depth, and couple that with how bland Superstars looked, and it was fair to be a bit worried on this one. Seeing 5 in 1 on a product means you're getting something where none of the 5 is well thought out. But this one is different. This one has Bowser Jr., and I like Bowser Jr. An amiibo card line is launching alongside this game. Wow, if they're willing to go all in on merchandise for this, it must be good. I mean, I love Tide. It launches March 24th, 2017, only a few weeks after the Nintendo Switch and the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild release, so you know everybody was in the mood by then. Even though I had my doubts, releasing after a new era of Nintendo emerged, focusing on big, bombastic games full of quality and heart, launching alongside a trading card line, and the fact that multiple developers were working on this one game ensures me that this is going to be it. The ultimate Mario sports game. Holy shit, this game is horrible!
Really threw you for a loop there, I bet.
First off, I must ask, what? Why is everybody so pissed off in the official art? Like, Jesus, Yoshi, it's just a damn golf ball. Hey, at least we get a free amiibo card included, where we no doubt can see even more of these angry character shots. I want to see Luigi cussing out a horse. Well, I'm just gonna pray before this, he said, fuck. You know, this looks so familiar, but hey, I might be thinking of another Luigi horse-related experience. Including a free amiibo card with a game is a fuck that got me. Mario Sports Superstars amiibo cards were available right alongside the game for 5 bones a pop, with 5 unique cards included. What a fun concept. They're like baseball cards. Well, here we have Bowser heading a soccer ball, Donkey Kong standing triumphantly on a plate, a Baby Mario on the court, Middle Mario with his club, and Wario proudly displaying a horse. These are all great, but something seems a little off.
Ah. This one's wet.
Well, that solves the mystery. Wait! This is no. Oh my god! This wasn't Wario art crafted out of love. This was crafted out of Photoshop! Many of these cards are just reused assets from previous Mario games. Soccer Luigi's from Mario 3D World, Golf Middle Mario's from Mario Kart 7. Nearly all of the horse racing card art is from other games because prior to Mario Sports Superstars, the only horse racing art of these characters available online I can't show. Now, am I really upset at them reusing assets to fill up 90 cards worth of art? No, I just think it's incredibly jarring. There's so many different art styles used here. Poses from Mario Sports Superstars and cheaper poses from Mario Sports Superstars. So like some really high quality CGI and CGI. Art as old as the GameCube era. Art that was never meant to be used for a sports game. This trading card line has it all. Even a binder released only in Japan to contain every card. Only an absolute degenerate with nothing but spare time and a lack of drive to do something beneficial for society would buy this binder and filled out with every single Mario Sports Superstar card imaginable. So thank God I'm missing Birdo. Now, these are amiibo cards, which means you can scan them into Mario Sports Superstars. I have nearly all of them, so you'd probably ask me what they do.
I don't know.
We'll find out together. But first, we have to actually play the game to not like it. First off, opening movie, showing newspaper articles detailing the 5 sports at play here.
Slow news day.
Bam! Mario Sports Superstars. The main menu screen here is straightforward and to the point. Our 5 sports, all laid out. You know what? Let's start with tennis. Words to live by. Let's go single player in it. Why not a tournament? Oh, hey, Mushroom Cup like Mario Kart? This should be...
Thanks.
I should not expect anything from this. No fun environments or items or special moves. Damn, now that I'm not expecting anything, this game delivers. The tennis portion of the game is developed by Camelot, the same people who bring us Mario Tennis in general, so this is literally the same damn thing. You may assume this is just taking Mario Tennis Open on the 3DS and squeezing it into this title, but if anything, this is taking Mario Tennis Open and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash from the Wii U and, well, it's not always a good thing when family gets that close. Now, it's an even simpler tennis game than before. That's impressive. I didn't think you could get more bare bones than Ultra Smash, but I also didn't think dogs could get jaundice. You hit the ball back and forth. You can hit A or another button for a different type of shot. But there's no Mario flair. Less than even Ultra Smash, and all that game had was Mega Mushrooms being thrown onto the court. Somebody call the Mario reference police. Here, there's nothing. Ultra Smash may have been just tennis, but Tennis in Sports Superstars is literally just tennis.
There's a difference.
And to portray how that's an issue, what am I supposed to gain from this? This is the most boring tennis video game experience I've ever had. It may be one of the most boring video game experiences in general. The only people who I can imagine having fun with this are the fans with social media presences who get free review copies of games from Nintendo and are too petrified to say anything bad about their games in fear of never receiving free review copies ever again.
Hey Nintendo fans, this is another Nintendo fan here. You can tell I love Nintendo by my ability to buy merchandise. I've never played Metroid. Today we're reviewing Mario Sports Superstars on the Nintendo 3DS. How fun! This game has graphics and tennis. Yoshi is so cute, and Luigi makes me gassy.
This is putrid. There are only 4 tennis courts to choose from, and they're all just variations of the same thing. Finishing one tournament in a cup just unlocks the next cup, which is just a harder difficulty. Exhibition mode is just playing a single match. Training features a ring and rally challenge. I guess that just leaves multiplayer. Okay, well, let's play locally. Most multiplayer Mario games on the 3DS offer some form of download play, you know, where even if you don't own a copy of the game, you can play with somebody who does. Mario Sports Superstars? Okay. Well, this is just the same game, but with more mouths to feed. That's where online comes in. This way, we can never feel alone while being alone. I'd rather just hire a PI for myself. You know, I feel like a lot of modern Nintendo multiplayer games replace actual content with online multiplayer, as if online is the only form of replay value you need. Like, oh, there's only 4 levels, but you can play them with strangers constantly over and over and over again online. But it's like, you need to give me a reason to want to play online outside of just being able to play online. And I can't even do that! Well, Mario Sports Superstars knows what tennis is. I gotta hand it to Nintendo, because I don't want it. Let's move on to the other Camelot-developed sport in the package, golf. Because what else would we do? Stop playing? Yeah, Mario Golf World Tour is a great Mario Golf game, but I want to play golf with the option of playing 4 other sports, but picking golf anyways to show how much I care. Mario Sports Superstars offers that, in addition to nothing. Golf, alright. Tournament, stroke play? These developers did their research. So the user interface, animation, even most sounds are ripped right from World Tour. This is, by all intents and purposes, a surgically removed bit of World Tour in a city it don't belong. Out of all things they ripped from World Tour, why did they make new courses for this game? I mean, you obviously have no shame. Why act like you don't? World Tour has some great courses, and loads of them at that. Mario Sports Superstars, we have 4 golf courses to play on. Emerald Woods, Gold Links, Crystal Beach, and Wild Valley. Damn, I was hoping for gray roads. Putting an adjective before your setting doesn't make it unique, especially if the adjective already describes what you'd assume the setting would look like. Damn, you got woods? Green woods?
I'll drink to that.
These courses are some of the most basic, no frills, no personality golf courses I've ever seen in a video game, which is ridiculous considering I'm playing as this on them. You're telling me they not only have a giant fucking lizard playable, but his dad too? And this is the course you play as them on? Why is this so generic? Why are there no Mario elements on the course? No power-ups, no enemies, no iconic characters on the sidelines, no iconic locales. I mean, the gameplay is good. It's ripped right from a good game, but it's only a part of a good game, and a fraction of what made it good in the first place. You give somebody a page from the Grapes of Wrath, like, yeah, it's well written, but what do you want me to do with this? Overall, I would much rather play golf in this package than tennis. I feel like even with the generic courses, there's more to see here with far more strategy and replayability. I still fucking hate it. Alright, so those 2 portions of the game were developed by Camelot. The other 3 were developed by one Bandai Namco Games.
I'll drink to that.
Alright, well, to be fair, Bandai Namco was the developer of the Mario Baseball game, so if anybody could nail baseball in this collection, they'd be a close 22nd. Wow, what stadium do you want to play in, guys? Country Field or Big Field? Baseball in Superstars is one of the most lifeless experiences I've ever had in a video game. I know that for a fact because while I was playing, I was shot. This is getting difficult. I mean, do I really have to explain why something is boring? Time to pitch the ball. Time to hit the ball. All right, 2 down. This is miserable. It's one of the most pathetic and slow experiences I've ever had in a video game. It may function and work fine enough. I mean, it's just baseball, but that's no excuse. There are loads of sports games that are just the sport, nothing crazy, but their gameplay is actually compelling. This, I cannot fathom anybody looking at this and thinking, what fun? All I can think is, what fun? The target demographic for this is the child whose parent bought them this for their birthday, and they have to do something on a 9-hour car ride. So, yeah, let's play the baseball tournament mode for 3 hours 3 times in a row. Sure, you can throw different pitches, but all you do is hit a different button. Outside of that and the fancy UI organizing everything, there's not as much as you'd think separating this from baseball on Atari. I mean, you have these goofy-ass wedding toppers of characters playing baseball, and what do you do with this opportunity?
Drink to that.
This is a waste of human energy, both as a player and for the developers. The 4 different fields aren't different. They have such minimal variances that I question why even go to the effort of trying to pretend you had enough willpower to make multiple fields. And it's set up exactly like the other games. The same tournament brackets, the same cups, the same exhibition mode, and training mini games just hit within the rings, just like tennis and golf and soccer, the most popular sport in the world. This is even fucking worse! Oh my god, so the different fields in baseball didn't matter because fucking baseball. How about the 4 different fields in soccer? Yeah, I'm more of a Kingdom Stadium guy myself. I think soccer and baseball are both in the running for worst in this package. I mean, baseball is way more boring, but soccer is much better, and when you compare soccer and Mario Sports Superstars to the actual Mario soccer games, I mean, what do you prefer? A nice juicy steak or a dead fucking dog? I mean, look, these sports function. They're the sports they claim to be, but there's no hook. It's literally the most basic form these sports could have taken in a video game. And when there's nothing to the gameplay and there's minimal content to play around with, I mean, damn, you go to all the work of naming 4 stadiums to end up not seeing any differences due to the camera angle, you end up with one of the most boring video games I've ever endured. This is painful. This is horse racing. It's about damn time Nintendo listened. Horse racing is the last and most unique sport in the package. It has a stable. Why doesn't tennis have a stable? Why even bother including horse racing? I mean, you get the same response to the game if it just included the 4 sports. For all I knew prior to 2017, 4 sports in one was all man was capable of. What's a 5th gonna do for sales? Oh. Well, horse racing is obviously the most fleshed out of the bunch. First, we can pick out a horse,
which is more than I can say about tennis. These all look like they belong in a damn Popeye cartoon.
We get to pet it and customize it and ride it in first person. Why? Just because you had a pet simulator portion to your horse racing minigame doesn't mean you've added value or depth. Like when you really see value in bowling from Wii Sports having a ball polishing minigame, polish your ball for a better roll. Or you could just play bowling. It's the same with this. You don't need this. The horse racing isn't complicated. It doesn't need this tacked on element you can just completely skip, by the way. Oh, spending time with your horse brightens its day and maybe makes it better on the racetrack. Yeah, like you need that for something as deep as a Mario Party minigame. In fact, a minigame from Mario Party 3 had similar gameplay. Mash a button to make your horse go faster, grab carrots to keep their stamina up. There, you race horses on basic tracks. You can do a Star Dash by collecting Star Dash emblems on the course. You need to grab carrots to keep the horse's stamina up. That's it. There's nothing special about this or the horses outside of a damn monkey riding one. And look at these race courses. Oh, Green Farm? I gotta be honest, the amount of detail they put into the damn horse racing mode is at the very least pretty commendable. I mean, graphically, this looks alright for 3DS. They could have just put this in like a drab little indoor horse racing arena. But the fact they put us on this lush hill, a yellow leaves hill no less, shows that they did care. Just not that much. It's horse racing. What makes horse racing different from regular racing? Given a shit. The problem with this sport isn't that it's horrible, it's just completely disposable. Why would you play horse racing in this game when you can pick up Mario Kart 7, which, hey, was more often than not included for free with 3DS systems, especially around the time this came out? The only people I see finding value in this smell bad. It's pointless. The stable where you customize your horse doesn't add anything other than a false sense of pride in the children who play this. The horse racing itself is just boring and too slow. It's not broken or god-awful, but it just lacks any spark, anything in general that makes you go, so that's why this exists. It's just lame. And because of that, it's my 4th least favorite in the collection, while simultaneously being my 2nd favorite. Every game has the same damn training minigames of do something through a ring, or just simple batting practice, rally challenge, free training, which doesn't count as content. That's just the same as free race, damn it! Every game has online and local multiplayer, which is nice for games like golf, I guess, but for games as simple as baseball, I really don't see the value in it. Each sport has the same roster of playable characters, a standard if not larger than expected affair for a Mario sports game, but we do have 2 unlockables. Oh man, well maybe they do care.
Congratulations!
For aggravated assault. Yeah, your only unlockables are Metal Mario and Pink Gold Peach. For Metal Mario, you have to beat all the cups in a sport to unlock him. A Pink Gold Peach beat ring training on hard in a sport, and only in that sport do you unlock them. If you unlock Metal Mario in tennis, he's still not available in soccer, so you have to separately unlock both of these characters in each sport individually, because f the clocks. Time is now measured by how long it takes me to put lead poisoning on a horse. Amiibo! With the aid of Amiibo cards, we can unlock these characters for each sport instantly if we happen to have the card for that sport and character. See, that's great and everything. I'm happy to have sold my dog for a nearly complete set, but there's gotta be more to the Superstar Amiibo cards than just unlocking 2 characters. Well, firstly, these aren't the only cards in the game. Sure, we can scan in each and every Amiibo card to gawk at our digital Amiibo card collection. This is the life. But the game also has a completely separate card collecting mechanic, where you have over 300 digital exclusive cards with equipment and characters and horses on them, and you get a pack of 10 for 1,000 coins you earn from playing the sports, or you can get a 3-pack for 300, or you can scan one of 3 Amiibo cards per day to get a 3-pack for free. So you scan Amiibo cards to unlock the Amiibo card in a digital collection, and you can also scan Amiibo cards to get different digital cards, which are completely separate entities from the Amiibo cards. What? Like, this is just confusing. Why are there 2 separate digital collections of cards to collect in this game? Why not have one or the other? Scanning the Amiibo cards into the game to have them as a part of your Amiibo card collection doesn't do anything. I think it's mostly just to make you feel better about collecting the Amiibo cards. The other cards are a bit more useful in game and are separate entities, even though some of these digital exclusive cards use the same artwork from the Amiibo cards. I'm gonna fucking lose it. Cards with gear on it unlock that specific gear for the character it's assigned for. So this golf club is for Mario. I can now use it in golf while playing as Mario. It doesn't do a damn thing, it just looks a little different. Yeah, the digital cards are also mostly just for show. The gear cards give you new skins for soccer balls, tennis rackets, etc. Though you can't customize who uses what. The Fire Flower Bat is only for Mario. The Luma Racket is only for Rosalina. So this entire card portion just confuses the hell out of me. Both the Amiibo card album and digital card album are separate, but both useless. Oh, the Amiibo cards themselves are useless. They only work in this game. Something Nintendo prided themselves in with Amiibo was how they'd work across multiple games. The same Mario Amiibo that works in Smash Bros. Works in Mario Party. These Amiibo cards aren't at all the same. You'd assume a Mario card would work as a Mario Amiibo elsewhere. No! So what's the purpose of them? Well, I never mentioned the Road to Superstar mode. Scan in 3 Amiibo cards, place them on this grid however you'd like, and train these characters to become the Superstar variant of said character, which would increase the stats of them in their respective sport. So let's train Tennis Donkey Kong, Golf Luigi, and Horse Birdo to be the best they can be. This is f***ing Arkanoid. That's all this is. You just use 3 balls from the 3 sports of the cards you choose and play a minigame until you reach a boss fight. Afterwards, that character is upgraded. I sold my dog for this.
Hi. Mario Sports Superstars playing Scott is dead. He's no longer interested in supporting a company releasing a product just to release a product for consumers to buy for no other reason than the color red being on the cover. Or at least that's what he read in this recent entry of Anti-Consumer Quarterly.
You get 4 of those a year?
A week. But he's a changed man.
a dead man. And to prove his commitment to death, he wrote here a few choice final words. Mario Sports Superstars is a sick joke of a video game, one that fails as both a sports game and a Mario sports game. As a sports game, it is a slow, tedious, and boring representation of each activity. As a Mario sports game, it features Mario characters and stops there. Tennis and golf are simply stripped-down demos of both Mario Tennis Open and Golf World Tour. Soccer and baseball are laughably overly simplistic and slow compared to the standard Mario Strikers and baseball games. And horse racing is just utterly pointless in the package. Couple that with amiibo support that is completely unnecessary, in addition to a separate but equally as useless card collecting mechanic in-game that isn't the same but uses some of the same card art as the amiibo cards, it just adds up to the confusing mess of a filler title Mario Sports Superstars is. Don't get me wrong, you could do worse than this. Everything works, and if you want 5 generic sports in one video game, I fear for your taste. But Mario Sports Superstars delivers in those regards. You do get 5 sports, though in the most lifeless form imaginable. This isn't a game to me. This was an experiment by Nintendo to see how little effort they could put into a package they claim to be far more than it truly is. A game like Mario Tennis Ultra Smash may have been worse, but Mario Sports Superstars had more weight behind it. An entire amiibo card line, multiple developers, pushed by Nintendo as something greater than it truly was, which was a hacked-together, lifeless, loveless project created out of a need for a new 3DS game and nothing more. Or at least that's what I got from this.
So, tell me where it all began.
Alright. Hi, my name is Scott, and I'm not an alcoholic.
My name isn't Scott, and this isn't an AA meeting.
Oh, thank God. I always hated those. I always felt out of place. I wish they would make it more accessible to non-alcoholics.
You're stalling.
I'm sitting.
We can do this the easy way or the hard way.
I'm paying you.
With a coupon.
You don't know what it's like to go to therapy.
Hey, I got a life outside of this job. I go to therapy twice a week.
You're a therapist. Where do you go to therapy?
The mirror.
Alright, fine. It all started at my desk. Hey y'all, Scott here.
So is this the first time you introduce yourself like that, or is this a reoccurring thing?
Pretty much every week. Say, do you want me to play 3 of Nintendo's worst games of all time to end up wasting thousands of dollars in therapy?
That was some incredible foresight.
I plan my year ahead of time. Picture this. Making bad games. It's like making bad water. It's almost impossible. But some people just can't help themselves. Almost every video game company has stumbled at some point, whether they had to rush a title out for release or just weren't focused enough during development. Mistakes happen, and one bad or misguided game doesn't mean an entire studio's talentless or doomed. Just because Sega made one oopsie doesn't mean they'll make another one anytime soon. Bad example, but regardless of how many stinkers are put out each and every year, people will always hold certain developers and publishers in the highest regards. These studios can never make a bad game. They always push for quality, they always care about their products, and you will never be disappointed in what they make. One of these companies is Nintendo, a developer and publisher widely believed to put out nothing but quality titles. I finally figured out what this statement is! Listen, I love this company. Nintendo is my favorite game studio of all time. I love most of their games, their developers, their philosophies, their style, their history. They are, to me, the most interesting player in the video game industry. And their level of quality since their inception has yet to be matched. It's simply astonishing how time and time again they've been able to create so many experiences that are considered genre-defining, and consistently at that. From the original Super Mario Bros. In 1985 to The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in 2017, they've been the studio to look up to. But there's sort of a misconception to many that Nintendo doesn't make bad games. The idea many push that Nintendo always puts the most quality possible into each and every game they release. They never rush things. They never go for quick cash grabs. That is hilarious. Will you be here all week? I love this company, but I'm more than willing to point out their shortcomings. And one year I felt that harder than any other year. 2015. This was during the Wii U and Nintendo 3DS era, the anti-renaissance. Definitely not their strongest in terms of sales and revenue, and Nintendo's handheld business has always been their most successful, and while the 3DS was doing well, it wasn't nearly as big of a breakout hit as the Nintendo DS or Game Boy line of systems. And then there was the Wii U, also known as what? Yeah, that wasn't doing all too hot, so Nintendo decided, f it, let's give up. Up until this point, investors were dogging on the company quite a bit to put their titles on smartphones. Their idea was, Angry Birds is doing it, why not Starfy? But Nintendo was always stern about keeping their games on their devices, especially considering mobile gaming was a threat to dedicated handhelds like the 3DS. However, in March of 2015, the company officially announced that Sinning was on the schedule. It just made sense to develop mobile games. At this time, the 3DS was mostly appealing to just core fans, and the Wii U appealed to just me. Nintendo's brand wasn't as widely recognizable as it could be in this era, so they decided, let's make a shitty Mario Kart game for smartphones in 2019. But did the switch to mobile games mean Nintendo was going to put an end to console development? God no! Because they announced development of a future console at the same time, the Nintendo NX. So that meant in 2015, not only were Wii U and 3DS titles being developed, but mobile and NX games as well. Nintendo was obviously being stretched a bit thin here. The Nintendo NX wasn't going to be released until March of 2017, but they were feverishly working on it in the background to ensure this doesn't happen again. But they still had to put out Wii U and 3DS games, and with some of their titles getting delayed a bit from a 2015 launch, they had to scramble. They had to whip up games that reused old assets, had little content to them, or were just ungodly simple so they could have products to sell that year. This went on from 2015 to 2016, low quality spin-offs that barely anybody wanted, or games that showed promise that ended up completely under-delivering. I'd say 2016 had less going on, just overall the amount of titles released wasn't that high and the quality wasn't much higher. But this problem started the year prior. It was weird because 2015 no doubt had some great games developed and or published by Nintendo. Splatoon, Super Mario Maker, Yoshi's Woolly World, Xenoblade Chronicles X, but we also had Devil's Third, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, Mario Party 10, Mario vs. Donkey Kong Tipping Stars, Animal Crossing Happy Home Designer, Little Battler's Experience, Amiibo Tap, The Legend of Zelda Triforce Heroes, Codename Steam, all getting anywhere from mixed to negative reception from critics and fans alike. The Triforce Heroes and Happy Home Designer were okay in my opinion. Devil's Third had its moments, and I always put Mario Party 10 on the shelf like this. I never want to see those three words together ever again. These games, while not terrible, just didn't have the same level of quality as what I came to expect from Nintendo. They all felt a bit soulless in one way or another. Like, these weren't made because, oh, we want to do this. Instead, more like, oh, we need a Zelda game this year. However, there were 3 games released in 2015 I believe to be nearly irredeemable, some of the biggest mistakes Nintendo's ever made, games I consider to make up the dark age of Nintendo.
Big deal.
That is the best thing a therapist could say to me.
You shouldn't let the products of a multi-billion-dollar children's company affect your mental health.
You don't understand. I have to play most Luigi-based products. Well, I think it's a good time to practice anything but sobriety, so let's take a look at 3 of Nintendo's worst games of all time, which, weirdly enough, all released within 2 months of each other. First one we should tackle is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, The Rise of the Machines. Touch an amiibo? So a little backstory. Animal Crossing, one of the most comfortable gaming experiences in the county. It's just life. You collect stuff to get money to pay off your loan to buy more stuff. It's depressing. This is what life is. Why do I like this? Truth be told, I am far from being one of the bigger Animal Crossing fans out there. It's not that I don't like the series, far from it. I just haven't played each entry to death like many others have. But the games I have played are so relaxing and cozy. They're just fun to boot up, run a few little errands, turn it off, and depress for the rest of the day. There was a bit of criticism directed towards the series for a while there, though. See, it initially released on the Nintendo 64 in Japan only. That version made its way to the GameCube worldwide with a few extra enhancements, but it was still the same game at heart. Then when Wild World came to the DS, many noted it was pretty similar to the GameCube one with a few enhancements added. City Folk released on the Wii and it was pretty similar to the DS one with a few enhancements added. Where were the changes? Go back! These games kept adding onto each other, but not enough for some to be all too thrilled. But then New Leaf for the 3DS came out, and it changed up enough to be a breath of fresh air for everybody. You were the mayor of your town, you could change so much about your village. It's the one thing Animal Crossing needed, and they finally did it. Government intervention! New Leaf was a tremendous success, and all signs were pointing to the next iteration of Animal Crossing releasing on Wii U around 2015. I mean, it had to happen.
Right? I mean, in 2013, Nintendo released this app called Animal Crossing Plaza on the system. It was all these characters in HD, and you could create Miiverse posts about them for others around the world to read. Considering this free app was made so 3DS owners who played New Leaf could talk about the game only on Wii U, a platform that did not have an Animal Crossing game, was only available for a year until it was discontinued and can no longer be accessed.
I smell pointless.
It was by all accounts the Miiverse Plaza, that thing that appears when you boot up your Wii U, showing all these Miis and what people are saying about different games. It was that, but for Animal Crossing characters. Like, you could say, oh fuck, I love this guy's pants! And then others could respond with, why am I on this app? I think the main takeaway from this thing was that Nintendo produced all these HD quality models of the Animal Crossing characters. I think it was pretty evident that this was a test when it came to developing an HD game in the series. However, nothing initially came of this. New Leaf kept selling, Animal Crossing Plaza kept not getting used, and all was right with the world. But then in 2014, Nintendo announced and released amiibo figures with NFC chips in their base that allowed you to scan them into supported games via the Wii U gamepad and eventually the 3DS to play with the character or unlock extra goodies. It launched with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and was a tremendous success, mainly because they released amiibo of all characters. Smash Bros. Is a crossover of every series under the sun, so everybody was interested in the line to some extent. This meant in the following year, Nintendo would lean heavily into Satan's plastic. More lines of amiibo like Super Mario, Splatoon, Yoshi's Woolly World were all put out and did very well, but the actual use of these things in games was always non-essential. In Smash Bros., you could scan a figure to fight it, raise it, and level it up as your own little Smash Bros. Prodigy. That was pretty much the furthest they ever went with implementing it. Mario Party 10, you'd use them in Amiibo Party mode, where you scan an amiibo to roll the dice. Yoshi's Woolly World and Mario Maker, you could scan a bunch of different ones to get costumes, which was awesome, but not all amiibo were supported in every game. It was kind of up in the air which amiibo would be supported in which games. So I think we were all expecting a game to be released that took full advantage of amiibo, a game that couldn't exist without it.
We should have known better.
But in the back of everybody's mind, we were also thinking another thing. New Animal Crossing game for Wii U with Animal Crossing amiibo support. It was so perfect, it just had to happen. Animal Crossing was a game so focused on collecting in hundreds of different characters, introducing figures, that just made a ton of sense. Well, Nintendo jumped on this fairly quickly. In April of 2015, we got Animal Crossing amiibo cards announced alongside a spin-off title for 3DS, Happy Home Designer. This was a sign. They were building up to a Wii U game. I could smell it, and Happy Home Designer would interact with it somehow. They weren't pulling a fast one on me. I eat virginity for breakfast. I get these things. E3 2015 came around. Guess what leaked beforehand? Boom! Animal Crossing amiibo figures. It was happening. Nintendo's E3 2015 digital event kicked off. Halfway through, a Happy Home Designer trailer played, then those glorious words world premiere flew up on screen. It cuts to a Wii U gamepad. Holy shit. And an Animal Crossing figure gets scanned onto it. Holy shit! Animal Crossing's on Wii U. I called it. I called it!
So you got incredibly depressed over the announcement of a game in a series that you aren't even a huge fan of to begin with in the first place.
That's right.
Who the f*** is this guy?
On your left, you will see no doubt one of the worst and tone-deaf video game announcements of all time. You can't tell me somebody at Nintendo didn't realize what opening a trailer with this shot insinuates. Nobody goes, oh my god, an Animal Crossing board game? Because that's what it was, a party game that used amiibo figures to roll the dice. Nearly everybody was disappointed and confused, but while this wasn't what I wanted in the slightest, I had higher hopes than I think some did. And the idea of an Animal Crossing party game wasn't bad. That's all it had going for it. The idea wasn't bad. Because my god, not only was this game's announcement a disappointment, the gameplay shown? What is this? Later on at E3, tidbits about why the game existed were coming out, one of them being how the developers just wanted a reason for Animal Crossing Amiibo to exist.
I can think of worse reasons for the apocalypse.
Another one, albeit this was just a Nintendo of America employee kinda just talking up the game a bit on the E3 Treehouse stream, was that they said it was nice to have an Animal Crossing game that didn't require reading to enjoy. Most of this game is text. Suffice to say, Amiibo Festival was not received well. It just sort of got announced and then released later that November. Nothing really came out about the game until a Nintendo Direct in November highlighted it. A day before it released, there was a rumor floating around about the game being a free download and you'd just need to buy an Animal Crossing figure to experience it.
$60 that I spent!
So this is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. It comes in this box with 2 Amiibo figures and 3 Amiibo cards in this nice little envelope. Now apparently Digby here was only available for a limited time. Future releases of the bundle wouldn't include him.
If only the game sold well enough to warrant them doing that. Amiibo Festival bombed. Stores are still putting it out on clearance to this very day. Like I said, the original plan was to phase Digby out of the bundle, but that never happened because I think stores are still trying to sell the initial batch of the game from 2015. Well, there are other Animal Crossing Amiibo that launched alongside it, so I might as well nab a few to get the full experience. I didn't even try and I own nearly all of them. All I did was go to Five Below, a GameStop, and a quick dabble on eBay, and here we are. Under $60 later, I own pretty much all of these except for Rover, Celeste, and Summer Isabel. These figures also rot in clearance bins, and Nintendo definitely expected them to fly off the shelves like the Smash Bros. Line did, but they didn't understand that 1. That line appealed to everybody because it included dozens of different game franchises. Animal Crossing, while incredibly popular, only appeals to Animal Crossing fans. And 2. Nobody wanted figures that were only useful in a bad game. So you can pretty much find all of these for dirt cheap. I mean, I know I did. 5 bones a piece at Five Below, where garbage goes to die. I picked up 2 packs of Animal Crossing Amiibo cards as well. These did far better sales-wise. They got up to 4 different series released. I assume it's because collecting hundreds of Animal Crossing cards is a lot more fun and addicting than buying one figure. So opening these up, I got Shirt Wolf, Spunk Rat, Unemployed Mouse, Insomnia Duck, Better Than Me Gazelle, Bride of an Aardvark, Self-Conscious Dog, Ye Old Lion, Hair Duck, Sex Frog, Kyle, and Mammal. Alright, so now I own multiple Animal Crossing Amiibo cards, I have nearly all of the Animal Crossing Amiibo figures, and the game is officially in my Wii U. And then... it happened.
The gout?
No. Virginity. Alright, tap an Amiibo on the Wii U gamepad. Let's go with Spunk Rat. It's gonna be one of those games, isn't it? This is an Amiibo, why can't I enter? Alright, fine, we'll try Clearance Otter. If you ever wanted an otter on clearance, buy a Lottie Amiibo. Tapping a figure brings us to the plaza. Our main option here is the board game. Well, I couldn't possibly play Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival by myself. What do I look like, a fucking loser? I at least need to play Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival with one other person.
Oh! No! No! I'm not playing it! No! No!
I'm telling the story in past tense. I am forwarding this message to everybody in my contacts list. If you stop by tonight, we can play... Gex. Did not take you as a Gex fan.
I'm not. I knew you were lying, and I'll do anything not Gex related.
Even Amiibo Festival?
Yeah.
Is it Gex Night? I've been waiting for this for years.
Yeah.
Oh, I love Gex!
So we enter the world of Gex by tapping our Amiibo in and on with the board game. Now we have 12 boards to choose from all the months throughout the year. Honestly, it's a great idea in terms of transitioning the series into a board game. It's all about life and the time of year translating over to the game. You can still find positives in hell. We get the rules explained to us and this is gonna take an hour and a half to finish.
Do we really have enough stamina to last that long? I haven't eaten since yesterday 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, and I know Gex, an hour and a half is really lowballing it.
Okay, we'll buy some food. Alright, what do you guys want? I only have enough money for one thing we can all share.
Doesn't matter to me. Yeah, I'm starving. I couldn't care less right now.
Alright. I'll take one corn dog.
You went to Sonic?
Not just that, I ate there.
Should've came sooner.
So when you have some players to play a real-life video game with, before you start a game, you need to make sure you and your team are nourished. This is going to take a whole lot of effort and time, and the last thing you want anybody to do during a game of Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is leave to do something else. When commitment is your middle name, it's time to play. Scan your Amiibo when it's your turn and lift it to roll the dice. Move the spaces given. You want to gain happy points and bells. Land on spaces that either make you happy or give you money. Some spaces only do one or the other or both, but some spaces take away one or the other or both. Every space you land on, you get a little story play out that explains why you gained happy points and or bells or why you lost them. I have never meant anything more in my life than what I'm about to say. Cute, I guess. Sometimes events happen where characters show up, and if you land on a certain space, they may give you an item to use. These items are all sorts of basic cards that let you move whatever amount of spaces you want. They're f***ing fun! Joan appears every now and then and sells you turnips. You buy a bunch and then the market does the talking. Each space then has a different selling price for your turnip, so it's up to you to decide when it's time to sell your stock. Investment's a core part of the game. Again, great for people who can't read. And that's Amiibo Festival. When every player takes a turn moving, the next day starts and you repeat until the month is over. Your bells are converted to happy points at the end and are added to your overall total, and whoever has the most happy points wins. Now you can set a time limit so the game ends after a certain period rather than lasting an hour and a half, but that's not the Amiibo Festival way, damn it. Rev up your endurance glands because we're in this for the long haul.
He's a gecko with sunglasses!
So yes, we constantly have to scan our Amiibo to roll the dice each and every time. Is it strategic? Is the dice roll slow to compensate for the fact it has to read a chip in the figurine? Is scanning an Amiibo to roll dice fun? Don't quote me on this,
But no, if you want to play with up to 4 players, but you only have 1 to 3 amiibo, the remaining players can play as a human villager, and all they have to do is hit A. Come on, that's no fair! Using an amiibo to do this is clunky and annoying, primarily because you constantly have to do it. Other games that support amiibo, it's a one and done. You scan it and then you set the figure down. Here, you constantly have to, and it is grating mainly because I know there's a beautiful little button that can roll the dice for me and then some right there. It's even programmed into the game! But I have to keep scanning something I bought at Five Below. But here's what I really don't like. After you scan, you then have to use the stick and A button to confirm which direction you want to go in when you reach different path options. One of my biggest pet peeves in games, specifically on the Wii U, is when they force you to use the controller in a way that makes you reposition your hands when it is completely unnecessary. Paper Mario Color Splash on the Wii U did this. Its default control scheme had you pick cards to play with the touchscreen, then force you to quickly shift your hands back to the buttons to time your actions properly. I ended up switching to the all-button control scheme because sure, there are more steps required with this than with the advanced touch controls option, but here, I don't need to reposition my hands constantly. In Amiibo Festival, I have to scan the figure, use the buttons, sometimes I'm forced to use the touchscreen for no damn reason. If the developers just had to absolutely force you to scan the Amiibo to roll the dice, why not have the rest of the controls on the touchscreen? And that way you can leave the gamepad on a table without it being sort of kind of awkward to use when picking a direction. Like, why not be able to select the direction to go in on the touchscreen? Oh, that's right, you can't because the emotion buttons are on the touchscreen. Yes! The game had some weird consistency issues when it comes to what's exclusively on the gamepad screen and what's not. And there's really nothing that ever happens where I think, oh man, I want to hide what I'm looking at from the other players. Also, we all just use one gamepad, pass it around like a corn dog. It just makes things unnecessarily cumbersome. The game itself reeks of Mario Party. I mean, happy points are basically stars and bells are coins. Of course, more coins mean more of a chance to get a star in Mario Party, which is what you're really after, and it's no different with Amiibo Festival. The difference is, most Mario Parties have a minigame play after each player rolls their dice and move. That adds an element of skill. You want to do good at the minigames to get more coins to get more stars. After everybody rolls an Amiibo Festival, you roll again! There's no minigames, no nothing! This game is just constantly rolling the dice and moving around the board. Sure, you have the element of the fucking onions. I guess you have to strategize when's the right time to sell them, and no, even that's total luck. You can't strategize landing on a space where you can sell them for a fortune. It's all up to the dice roll. But Scott, you may say, what? You can get special cards that give you the ability to move a specific amount of spaces. Yeah, sure, but if you even get the opportunity to get a card like that, completely random. If you get the number of spaces you'd actually need in the future, completely random. It's all luck. You build up your bells for 45 minutes, all for a damn owl to bump into you and take half your money. The most strategy you can put into this game is doing a trick when scanning your amiibo.
Now that, badass.
I mean, if Amiibo Festival nails anything, it's the ambiance of Animal Crossing. Every space you land on tells you the story of what happened to your character that day. It's all well written, I guess, but keep in mind, there is way too much dialogue for this being a party game. I have multiple people in the room, Katie. You don't need to explain your purpose each and every time somebody runs into you. Presentation-wise, like, yeah, it's still Animal Crossing. It looks okay, but it just kind of feels like they barfed New Leaf in HD without all too much care put into it. It's fine, it does the job, but the board's design, my God. So yes, each board is each month in the year, but they're barely any different. The season changes, but that doesn't make any of them feel all too distinct. There are events that happen based on the month, like holidays or birthdays, but I will maintain, every board feels the damn same. Here's a quiz for you. Which board is June and which board is July? They're both August. You level up your character after every game and save that data to the amiibo. Thank God I get something out of this. Leveling up with your happy points unlocks new costumes. You know, now this game has purpose. And that's the board game, but you just wait because we have so much more to this. 8 minigames, in fact. All of which are exclusively playable with amiibo cards. You cannot use figures. Is there any reason why I can't use the amiibo cards in the board game and amiibo figures in the minigames?
Man, you really haven't played Gex before, have you?
So we basically have to grind in this game for a couple hours to unlock everything. We have Balloon Island, where we scan in an amiibo card and lift it up to drop our character at the right time to get the most points. I will say, this is an instance where scanning the cards makes this a bit more interesting. You have to take the delay into account. I think it would be way more interesting if different characters had different characteristics to how they drop, so there's more of a strategy when picking your card, but overall, this would be a bit weird without the cards.
It's weird with the cards.
Acorn Chase. We have to maneuver this garden, picking up all the acorns by scanning one of the 3 cards you pick to go in different directions before you get mauled. It's
fine. Rossetti Bob, so it's whack-a-mole mixed with rock, paper, scissors. Finally, somebody did it. All the amiibo cards have either rock, paper, or scissors on them, so you scan them in, and when you see a Rossetti with rock under it and you are definitely paper, scan your card, nothing else matters in the world. It can get pretty crazy, although an easy way to cheese it is if you scan in all characters with the same thing. That way it's not nearly as confusing. Mystery Campers! We scan in 6 cards and have to try to guess which 4 of your characters are in the tents and which order they're in. This one's honestly incredibly simple, but kind of fun. It really makes you think critically. Every time you scan in 4, it tells you how many were correct and if you were close with some of your picks. It's pretty satisfying to figure it all out considering all your previous choices. Speaking of thinking critically, the Animal Crossing Quiz Show, the perfect game to play with people who don't know Animal Crossing all too well. What is this? Amiibo card battle. You pick cards to play and there are definitely outcomes. I don't get this one. Desert Island Escape. This is the most game this game gets. It's not that bad. You pick 3 characters and you have to survive on an island long enough and find materials to escape before time runs out. You just have to strategize where to move and if certain things are worth risking. It's nothing amazing, but it's probably the most value you'll get out of Amiibo Festival.
And that was Amiibo Festival, Gex, but we played the entirety of what it had to offer.
Didn't we forget the Fruit Path game?
Get the f out of my house.
So Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival is generally considered the lowest point of the Animal Crossing franchise. It is, but I think what stings the most is the fact that it didn't need to be. Of course, best case scenario, it would be an actual real-life Animal Crossing for the Wii U, but an Animal Crossing party game had so much potential. The core concept here is fantastic. Taking elements from Animal Crossing and turning them into a board game, having the boards be different months, holidays as different events that happen, but they didn't do anything interesting with these concepts. ND Cube made this game, and they developed the modern Mario Party and Wii Party games, and by God, I just don't think they know how to balance a game's content or design boards for party games. They always try to give as many options as possible to give the illusion of a ton of content with tons of modes or minigames, but everything is so bare bones, it doesn't matter. It would have been better if they found a way to mesh all the content in here together. That way it could have been at least a little more interesting. Amiibo Festival by far is the worst game they've ever developed. But it's not ungodly terrible. It's bad, no doubt, but some of the extra minigames aren't the worst, and the board game can be fun if you want to overact about everything happening. However, that mode is overly long with nothing of value ever happening. The control scheme is completely unnecessary, and with each amiibo costing around $13 a pop at launch, you were spending well over $100 when this game released to play with multiple characters and access the other minigames. The concept's great, the execution is abysmal. However, I can't say it's the worst thing ever. There are glimpses of hope in the package here and there. So, it's not terrible, it's just awful.
Well, I think overall you're experiencing post-game syndrome. It should wear off between the next day or two. I'm surprised it only took you 1 game to get this shaken.
Well, actually, I'm here because it was more so a barrage of bad Nintendo games I played. First, it was Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Next, it was Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Okay, bye.
You're a therapy machine. You're gonna therapize good tonight. You're gonna be the best therapist a therapist will ever ask for. You're gonna do great.
So I was thinking we could tackle Ultra Smash next. This game left me traumatized.
Who gave you my address?
Really
Why are you here? What the?
So just wait, let's go one at a time. You first.
What the f are you doing here in my house?
Okay, fair question. Now it's my turn. I was hoping we could bang out some more therapy. You are a therapist. I'm traumatized. It all works out.
I can't give you therapy right now. It's daytime. I'm a night therapist.
Don't my credits transfer over?
Listen, I didn't become a therapist to hear you vent about Amiibo Festival.
Amiibo Festival?
I'm not registered to give advice about that.
Well, then are you a registered therapist at all?
So, tell me about that dumb f***ing tennis game that hurt your feelings.
I don't know. I feel like you're only talking to me now so then I don't tell anybody you're not registered to be a therapist. I feel like I almost have to pay you to listen to me.
So it's therapy.
Yeah, it's pretty much therapy. After Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, I decided it was time to move on to smaller and worse things. I was at my desk again. Hey y'all, Scott here.
Yes!
What?
Oh, before every therapy session I make predictions. I nailed that one. I'm really good at reading people. Just like, you're not pregnant.
How did you know?
Oh, I just kind of get this stuff. They call me the human pregnancy test in high school.
Well, I'm still on a quest to play through 3 of Nintendo's worst games of all time. I just finished up Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival and my eyes can no longer feel joy, so let's check more body parts off the list with Mario Tennis Ultra Smash.
Okay, so what was this game's deal? Was it good?
What do you think?
Based on the information, it's hard to tell. What is an Ultra Smash? Is it a move in the game? Is it the game itself? Or is it just two words that have no business being together at all?
Yes.
Mario Tennis, one of the greatest series of games Nintendo's ever produced.
Somebody's probably said that before.
The Mario Pyramid showcases the series' growth from simple beginnings to fucking everything. The character of Mario is so understandable to the masses. You look at him and go, yeah, I'm comfortable. Everybody's played a Mario game and know they're all about running and jumping and ending the sentence there. They're games people who don't enjoy games can at least get, and with Mario being such a basic mascot character, you can throw him into all kinds of settings and it would still make sense. Does he have a PhD?
No doubt!
Gonna be a chef?
Yeah.
Has he renewed his hunting license?
Hopefully.
He's a jack of all trades, and Nintendo usually puts him into so many different genres because he's such a good gateway character. If you weren't necessarily interested in a turn-based strategy game, well, if they put Mario into it, it automatically feels a bit safer to try. It won't bite. When I see Mario on a cover to a game, I think simple, wacky, but well thought out fun, and that's no more obvious than with the Mario sports games. Ever since the NES, Nintendo's been cramming Mario into sports titles, starting with golf. That's our Mario. He looks more like an Uncle Tony than a Super Mario, but apparently that's him. As time went on, Mario started appearing in more of these games, whether they were starring roles or just cameos, but when Super Mario Kart released, I'm sure Nintendo realized the Mario brand was too lucrative to limit him to just a simple cameo in these games. You gotta theme the entire thing around him. So in 1995, the first Mario sports game completely based on and named after the brand was released, Mario's Tennis on the Virtual Boy. It's his tennis. Released as a pack-in for the system, it was a Mario-themed tennis game. Am I allowed to be disappointed? With a title like this, I'm not sure what I was expecting, but probably a little bit more. It was basic tennis, and it does that well enough, but when you put Mario in the name, I'm expecting something more wacky, or more cartoony, or more fun. Well, Scott, do I have a surprise for me? 1999 rolls around and the Mario Golf series is formally introduced on Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color, with Mario Tennis getting a shot at redemption on the exact same systems 1 year later. The Nintendo 64 Mario sports titles were fun and simple sports games you could crack out at a party and have a blast with. You could enjoy them as just sports titles, but they added the charm of the Mario world, characters, stages, items. These were games that brought together sports and Mario fans, or even attracted those who weren't necessarily into either one. There are a ton of people who don't care for sports, but love a good Mario sports game. The Game Boy Color versions were vastly different and were more so RPGs. You control characters who were dear god anything but Mario and tried to become the golf or tennis masters. You can even connect the handheld games to the N64 ones to unlock things. They had some cool ideas back then before the idea of a Mario sports game became so concrete. Now, when Nintendo moved on to their next console, the GameCube, Mario Sports truly hit the next level. Mario Golf Toadstool Tour and Mario Power Tennis. These were amazing upgrades, better in pretty much every way to their predecessors. While Mario Tennis was still quite a fun time on N64, Power Tennis added so much in terms of characters, different courts with all kinds of Mario-themed gimmicks, special modes. It was incredible. Companion titles for the Game Boy Advance release that continued the RPG lineage of the Game Boy Color games, and back on the GameCube, we got two new sports series as well, baseball and soccer. Yeah, Mario's sports titles were some of the go-to multiplayer party games. They were incredibly popular, so when the next system rolled around,
They really just sort of disappeared for a while.
You really are the human pregnancy test.
the Wii and Nintendo DS. You see, these systems were tailor-made for sports games. The Wii had a sports game bundled in with it. They both had control schemes that screamed, put a Mario sports game on me. And what did Nintendo do? They got Square Enix to make a basketball game for the DS.
Why wouldn't they?
Made sequels to Baseball and Strikers on the Wii. Mario Power Tennis got re-released in widescreen with motion controls and nothing else. And Mario Sports Mix, yay. So why did Mario Golf skip this console? Why did they just port over an old Mario Tennis? Why did the DS get only one sports game? The lack of titles on the Wii may be because many consumers already had Wii Sports, and most of the sports included in the package have been Mario Sports games in the past. To be fair, I wanted Mario Super Sluggers when it came out, but I initially passed on it because I went, well, I have baseball and Wii Sports, what's the point? Maybe Nintendo thought consumers wouldn't care for a new Mario Golf or Mario Tennis if they already had free alternatives that came with the console? But see, that's dumb logic. Sports games sold like crazy on this system. If anything, people loved Wii Bowling and Golf so much they'd immediately buy garbage bowling and golf games just because they wanted more of it. Now, why the DS had barely any sports games, I don't know, but I mean, it had pack picks, don't be greedy. Maybe Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games had something to do with it. No, we don't need to make new Mario sports games. Mario and Sonic will do the trick. But those were just sports minigame collections. They had charm, no doubt, but a collection of dozens of sports isn't gonna have the same amount of quality as a game that focused solely on one sport. Yeah, I'd say Mario Sports Mix was where the decline truly really started to happen. It's not a bad game, but with it being 4 sports in one, with each not feeling nearly as in-depth as they should be, it just doesn't have the same quality as something like Power Tennis or Toadstool Tour or Strikers or Super Sluggers. After Sports Mix, we got Mario Tennis Open on the Nintendo 3DS.
We did?
Yeah, this is an often forgotten one. It's not bad. I mean, it was Mario Tennis for Christ's sake. How could it be? It was just lacking in overall personality and ways to spice up the series. It just kind of felt like tennis with Mario flair and not much more, or at least that's what most reviewers said. It's an alright game. I'd take this in comparison to a lobotomy most days.
Something better than a lobotomy?
Most days.
It's just not too enthralling. Now, if we take a look at Mario Power Tennis, so much character is injected into this one. Look at all the courts, all the gimmicks, all the cutscenes, all the love. All of this was something that was slowly but surely disappearing from the sports games, and instead of feeling like the developers were trying to make the most out of what a Mario sports game could be by throwing in as many references and characters as possible, it felt like they were just doing this for a paycheck. This was also the first Mario Tennis game on a handheld that didn't go for an RPG style. That's fine, I mean, those were cool games, but I understand when you hear Mario Tennis, you probably think about the Nintendo 64 and GameCube versions first. But it just kind of shows that instead of doing something different or interesting, they'd rather just do exactly what you'd expect from a game called Mario Tennis. Thankfully, Mario Golf World Tour released for the 3DS 2 years later, and this was a great time. So many different courses and modes, the gameplay mechanics were fun, understandable, but had depth. I think the problem with Mario Tennis Open was that it was simplifying an already simple game. They took out the special character moves you could pull off from Power Tennis and instead have these chance shots on the ground. They were just glowing spots where if you perform the shot the game tells you to pull off while standing near it, you'll pull off a more powerful hit. But in the end, that just means the game is all about following the glowy spot and doing the move it tells you to do. The power shots had so much character and were tons of fun to watch and pull off, and for them to be gutted like this, it makes Mario Tennis less about Mario and way more about tennis. See, out of all the 4 major sports series, tennis is definitely my least favorite. Not because it's bad, but it's just the most basic playing sport after being turned into a video game. Go over here, hit the ball, go over here, hit the ball, go over here, hit the ball. At least Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64 and Power Tennis on the GameCube didn't try to simplify the game. If you wanted simple tennis, there were more than enough tennis games out there for you. Mario Tennis was for people who wanted a wackier take on the sport, but there was still depth here. You needed to be skillful to beat your opponent. Open's chance shots just made the game mindless. You didn't outsmart the other player by going over to the glowing spot. Don't lie, if you were fucking Luigi playing tennis and the ground started glowing, you'd go over to it, but you wouldn't feel accomplished, you just followed the glow!
Okay, so after the GameCube, Mario Sports titles' quality was definitely declining. Sure, there wasn't really a terrible one at this point, but they were a lot more hit or miss than they used to be. Camelot Software Planning were the developers of both the Mario Golf and Mario Tennis series ever since the Nintendo 64 and Game Boy Color. They've made every game in both franchises since that point, whether they were the multiplayer party games on console or the RPGs on the handhelds. And they truly had a lot of talent. And just looking at their games on the GameCube, they were obviously very proud of those games, with amazing opening cutscenes that were more so 5-minute long comedy shorts. They had great rosters of characters, fantastic modes, and they're still fun today. But by the year 2015, when Mario sports games were sort of in the gutter, what did they do? Well, they weren't ones to go against the grain.
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash was the first time I've ever used the term Mario Tennis Ultra Smash as bad. As you can see, the lineage of Mario sports titles up until this point somewhat started to degrade in quality, so when E3 2015 rolled around, I think we were all hoping for a new Mario sports game that was a return to form. It's been a while since we've seen Mario Strikers or Mario Baseball. Those would be fun to see again. Or a Mario Golf on a home console. We haven't gotten one of those since the GameCube. Or, hey, maybe a new Mario sport like football or horseback riding. During Nintendo's E3 2015 digital event, after revealing Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival, as you would if you wanted to watch the world burn, Nintendo showcased a few more trailers, revealing Mario and Luigi Paper Jam, and immediately afterwards, with no hesitation, no time to breathe, they just started a trailer for a new Mario Tennis game. Hell yes, I am completely indifferent to Mario Tennis!
So this is just Alfredo Party.
Amiibo Festival.
This already wasn't a series you liked.
That's right, it was a series I tolerated.
So what does it matter to you if this game got announced or turned out to be bad? Even if it was the greatest tennis game of all time, you still probably wouldn't care about it.
That's not true. I wouldn't probably not care about it. I just wouldn't care about it.
Why does Nintendo love Mario Tennis so much? I'm sure the Wii didn't get its own game, but it at least got a re-release of the GameCube one. Then we got Open on the 3DS, Ultra Smash on Wii U, then tennis was included as one of the 5 sports in Mario Sports Superstars on 3DS in 2017, including horseback riding, thank fuck. And then with no hesitation, a new Mario Tennis game after that. Like, guys, I know this series has the fabled fan who thinks Mario Tennis is the greatest series Nintendo's ever made out there somewhere.
Oh, we'll find them.
But in my opinion, it's the least interesting sport of the bunch. And even if it was the most interesting, why not give the other sports more attention? It just boggles my mind. Well, this new Mario Tennis game was revealed and It looked fantastic. Look at the character models, the lighting, the colors, it all looked gorgeous. It was like they took the graphics of Mario Kart 8 and made a tennis game out of them. Why would you do that? I don't know, but look at the grass. It looked great. Visually. Gameplay-wise, yep, that sure is a Mario Tennis. There was this Mega Mushroom power-up showcased where characters would grow. Get this, big, giants playing tennis. Well, that's interesting, I guess. What else does this game have? A title. What kind of subtitle is Ultra Smash? What does that mean? It just feels like they went to an auto title generator and it came up with this. Whatever. Okay, it's releasing holiday of 2015. They obviously want to save a bunch of stuff about this game to reveal later. This obviously isn't the entire game. The game was playable on the E3 show floor, and my god, that is old artwork of Peach. Looking at the gameplay, it was just tennis.
Yeah, it's a tennis game. Well, what were you expecting?
You don't understand. It was just tennis.
Oh my god.
It looked like a very barren HD version of Mario Tennis Open, chance shots and all. Temporary box art for the game was revealed, and I still have nightmares about this. I know this was just to give retailers something to put up on their Mario Tennis Ultra Smash product pages until the true box art was finished, but back in 2015, I was a bit concerned this was actually going to be the final box art. I was more concerned about that than if the game was going to be good. That was about it for Ultra Smash until October 2015, and we got a trailer labeled, "Look Who's on the Court." That could mean anything! It was less than a minute long and announced characters that were pretty much always playable in Mario Tennis games: Boo, Daisy, Waluigi. I think the most concerning thing about this trailer was after 4 months of nothing on this game, this was all they had to show us, and it was releasing in a month. We also didn't see any new courts. It was just the same basic one from E3, but the material of the court could be changed. Huh. Well, 2 days later, another trailer was released, the Love All trailer. This one introducing the tagline of "Play Tennis with Super Mario Powers."
They had me at this game having a tagline.
So this was an overview trailer showing off all the modes. Hopefully this isn't all the modes. What, there's tennis, big tennis, online tennis, boring tennis? Because this trailer fully confirmed there are no unique courts in the game. It's just the same stadium with different textures on the floor.
Yikes. Well, at least at this point, the game got actual box art, and the release date was November 20th, 1 week after Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. I fucking hate calendars.
A couple of hidden characters were revealed, previews started to come out. I was holding out hope this game was hiding something. Even when the Nintendo Direct in November 2015 came out and Mario Tennis Ultra Smash was highlighted, this was a week before it was releasing, and I was still praying this wasn't all the game was. This looked exactly like it did back at E3. Back when it had a reason to be bare bones, it was a demo and the first time we saw the game. Didn't even leave the unlockable characters locked when showcasing the thing. They had no shame with showing everything this game was, and most importantly, what it wasn't.
So November 20th rolled around and you bought the game? You bought the game?
Actually, no, not at all.
You're making great progress.
This was 5 years ago.
2015, I started a bit of a tradition. If a Nintendo published Wii U game released, I would buy it. I think I did this out of love for the company and a desire to support them during this era. But see, after Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival released just 1 week earlier, seeing how absolutely barren Ultra Smash was and evaluating its price tag of $50 US, I picked it up, about to buy it, and said, no, I'm not supporting this. I could at least understand Amiibo Festival's $60 price tag. It came with Amiibo figures and cards. It wasn't worth much at all, but the price tag was a bit more justified. Ultra Smash wasn't a full $60, but that doesn't mean it's worth $50. I held back on this game for a while. I didn't want to support Nintendo rushing out games that were overpriced and lacking in content just to fill their holiday lineup.
So I told that video game company, they ain't seeing a dime from me. They may be a multi-billion-dollar Japanese corporation, but let that be a lesson to them. I ain't giving them any of my business when it comes to $50 tennis games. Now when I see it on sale for $25 2 years later, then I'll bite.
Look at this box art. I'll give the game this. It looks good. The layout's nice. Luigi. Unleash your jump shots to take the advantage. God, the marketing people were trying with this game. This blurb is like if a dictionary had harnessed the power of words on the back. Yeah, it's always a good sign when the age rating doesn't have anything to say about the game. No comic mischief, cartoon violence, or sexual content like Mario Power Tennis. The fact Amiibo Festival is racier than Ultra Smash, I don't know what to make of that. The disc, yeah, they just plastered random characters all around it and called it a day.
Oh no. No, not the disc art.
That was the one thing I thought they couldn't ruin.
And they f***ed it. Nintendo f***ed it just like they f***ed our bands of friends.
Amiibo Festival.
I don't care.
Well, this is it. Game I refuse to buy and play because of the principle of it all. You know, if I really wanted to be a hypocrite, I could just enjoy an RPG, but that's not gonna happen.
This is Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. Could you tell? Remember Mario Tennis on the Nintendo 64? It had that cute little opening cutscene. Remember Mario Tennis on the Game Boy Color? It had a fun little cinematic. Remember Mario Power Tennis on the GameCube? It had an Oscar-worthy opening short film. Remember Mario Tennis Power Tour on the Game Boy Advance? It had an intense little opening for a handheld game. Remember Mario Tennis Open for the Nintendo 3DS? It had a lame opening, but an opening regardless. Remember Mario Tennis Ultra Smash? It had nothing. So we enter into the main menu. It's honestly pretty bland, but pretty slick. I like how when you hover over an option, a video plays in the box. It's simple, but it's decently attractive. It feels like a huge display at a sports game. Now, is there another page of options? Are there modes I can unlock? Is there more to this?
What have I been bitching about the past 17 minutes?
This is all Mario Tennis Ultra Smash has to offer. 5 modes. That's not an immediate problem. A lack of modes doesn't automatically mean a lack of quality. Maybe these are very in-depth modes with a ton of variety and replay value. What if they made the most out of the limited options and made something truly special? What if they did that? Do you think they did that?
What have I been bitching about the past 18 minutes?
Alright, so let's start off with the first option available. Mega Battle. So we choose between whether we want to play singles or doubles. Nice options. I'd be concerned if a tennis game didn't have them. And alright, nice character select screen. All of this is old art. Every single one of these character profiles are years old, some of them over 10 years old from this game's release, and I have no idea why they had to rip art from ass-old games. Just looking at the disc art, they created new renders of tons of these characters specifically for Ultra Smash. Why did they feel the need to reuse old renders, even when characters like Peach, Daisy, and Rosalina aren't in their tennis outfits in the renders when they are in the game? Oh my god, look, we have 4 unlockable characters grayed out. Who could they be? Listen, I know that silhouette anywhere. I can't believe they added Grover Cleveland. Next, we get to pick the type of court. You know, these 3 words are also nice, but I think hard's the way to go. Then we get to pick which type of control and camera setup we want. Do we want the score on the gamepad? Do we want the game copied to the gamepad? Maybe even reverse view or dynamic?
Mario Tennis Ultra Smash is overwhelming me. Yeah, I was starting to get a little sarcastic.
But there was a reverse view.
Let's just go with copy, and here's a loading screen. Oh, it's not loading. We could have just hit A this entire time. Look how quickly the A button appears here. Like, it doesn't even load anything. You'd think this is a loading screen, but all this basically is just a tip and trick you're forced to skip. Is there any point to the screen? And here's the game. Surprised?
Yeah, I just realized this is a tennis game.
You just realized?
This was my first time playing. It's meant to be played with multiple people. I think that calls for more people to play with. I just have to try to sweeten the deal to try and get them over here. I am forwarding this message to everybody on my contacts list. If you come over tonight, I will inform you how your uncle just died. Did not take you as somebody who had an uncle.
I don't. I just couldn't believe my uncle died again.
What if I told you your uncle didn't die and you can celebrate by playing tennis?
If there's one thing I hated more than my uncle, it's tennis.
What's wrong with tennis?
I don't know. I just never thought I was big enough to play. Like, if I could grow comically big while playing tennis, I'd give it a chance.
Well, do I have an Ultra Smash for you.
Yeah, as long as it's not Gex, I'm in.
Oh, is it Gex Night? I love Gex Night.
Didn't you get my message about your uncle dying?
He died for the 3rd time?
Yeah, let's fire up Gex.
Fucking lizard Gex. Oh my god. Oh, so if you were a Gex fan, you get that.
Mega Battle, we just played tennis, and a toad will randomly throw a Mega Mushroom onto the court, touch it, and that's a fun cutscene. I hope they play it every time somebody touches a Mega Mushroom. Oh, joy! So this is a mode where you have one power-up thrown onto the court and you can grow big. Of course, your shots are more powerful now, which makes it incredibly unfair when you're up against somebody without a Mega Mushroom. But then when you get a Mega Mushroom, when the other person has a Mega Mushroom, then this is basically the same as a regular match. When it's just 2 giants going up against each other, you don't really feel the power of being a giant. You both are at equal power levels. It's not interesting. With Mega Battle, the same thing always happens. You play normal tennis, and then a toad throws a Mega Mushroom onto one of your sides. If you had to fight for the Mega Mushroom, that would be one thing, but no, they just throw it on whoever side they feel like that day. And it's pretty much never out of your way to grab it. You get it, the exact same cutscene plays every time and pauses the action. If there were like a couple of different animations per character, I still wouldn't like the fact the cutscene interrupts everything, but at least it would be more understandable. No, each character only has 1 Mega Mushroom cutscene and it plays every time. You can't disable it, you can't skip it, you have to watch it, and then you're big. Good for you. Now your shots are more powerful and it's easier for you to hit the ball back because you're so much bigger. Obviously, why wouldn't you go for the Mega Mushroom? I get that sometimes the mushroom may be out of the way for you to grab it if the ball is heading in the opposite direction, but this thing stays on the court for so long. There is not a ton of urgency to grab it immediately. So basically, when somebody gets big, it's now completely unfair. The other person is incredibly tiny, but then Toad will throw
them a Mega Mushroom, and then they grow big, cutscene and all. So now you have two people who are just large for no reason. What's the point if everybody has a power-up? It's not a power-up at that point. Eventually, your power-up will run out, so now we're back to somebody having an unfair advantage until their power-up runs out, and then you get a Mega Mushroom thrown at you again, and the cycle repeats. The Toads almost always throw you the Mega Mushroom in the exact same pattern every time. You get it, then your opponent gets it about 30 seconds later, yours runs out, and your opponent still has it for a bit until theirs runs out, and then you get a Mega Mushroom again. It constantly repeats. Now, if your opponent hits your body with the ball, then you lose your power-up. You're telling me they had nothing for this rating? But, yep, that's Mega Battle. It's just regular tennis with a power-up that honestly adds absolutely nothing but a dumb selling point to the box. It's just so worthless. Like, the Toad just throws you a Mega Mushroom and that's it! If you had a meter where you had to keep a rally going, or you had to pull off some skillful shot or something, and it fills up, and then you get a Mega Mushroom, then that would be one thing. Or if it was just pure chaos and Toad would throw Mega Mushrooms randomly, like every 2 seconds, and it wasn't balanced in the slightest. I mean, this already isn't balanced well, but if it was more random, I could at least appreciate it in a bullshit insane way. But no, it's just the same thing over and over again. All you do is grow big and you quickly realize it's just a part of this pattern of growing big, opponent grows big, you go back to normal, they go back to normal, and it just repeats. Growing large isn't interesting because it's basically an automatic win button. If you're large and your opponent's not, you are going to beat them. Outside of growing large, the game is, it's just tennis! You just use different buttons for different types of shots, but honestly, just hitting whatever button you want does the trick. Sure, performing different shots at the right moments is what skillful players do, which is why we don't. If you see the glowing chance shot spots returning from Mario Tennis Open, just go right over to it and perform the button action it tells you to perform. Basically, you either mash a random button when the ball gets over to you, or you just waddle over to the glowy points and hit the button the game tells you to hit. Every now and then you do these jump shots if the ball's over your head, if you hit A, B, or Y twice. Every now and then, if the other player messes up their shot, you'll get a different glow spot and it'll let you do an Ultra Smash, which is just a very powerful jump shot that immediately means you won. But it's not like a crazy amazing looking thing, it's just bam. Wow, an Ultra Smash. You should name a game after that. I mean, it controls well enough. There's nothing inherently wrong with the game at its core, but it's just not fun. It's just boring. The gameplay loop isn't enjoyable. The things that adds to the Mario Tennis series are jump shots and Mega Battle. Has God seen this? But it's okay, we have 4 other modes to try out here. Next up is Mega Ball Rally. We have to try to maintain a rally for as long as humanly possible. See, the Mega comes from how big the ball is, and it gets smaller and smaller as the rally goes on, so it gets trickier. The ball comes from the fact we're using a ball, and the rally comes from the fact this is a rally. I don't understand when you're playing against a computer and they end up doing a giant ass shot on you. Why are you doing that? We're rallying the ball with each other. We have the same goal. No Mega Mushrooms in this mode. Which is why we have to move on to Knockout Challenge. Amiibo. We pick ourselves a character and play Mega Battle against another opponent. Hey, wait a second. Yep, this is just a single-player oriented version of Mega Battle. It's for true Mega Battle Gex fans only. Go up against an opponent, beat them, go up against another one, beat them, go up against another one.
And then what?
I don't remember. It's just a never-ending endurance mode until you lose against somebody. Basically, this game's excuse for a single-player offering. Of course, the farther you go, the more coins you get. That's right, Mario Tennis Ultra Smash has an economy.
And Mega Battle.
Now, you can use an amiibo figure in this mode as your partner. For some reason, you can't just have another player play with you or a standard CPU. It has to be an amiibo. So, crack out your Animal Crossing amiibo, try scanning them, realize the game only works with certain Mario amiibo, sulk, enter your pockets, scan amiibo. With that being said, the gold Mario amiibo works and gives you a gold Mario in the game. Now, Silver Mario doesn't give you a Silver Mario, obviously, f*** 'em. You must train your amiibo. It will level up the more you play with it, and you can teach it some certain skills. See, I like this concept, but it's ripped off directly from Super Smash Bros. Smash for Wii U and 3DS allowed you to scan an amiibo to fight with or against it to train it to fight like you. But see, Smash Bros. Is a pretty deep game. Everybody has a different fighting style of their own, so that makes sense. Training my Bowser Jr. to play tennis just like me, that doesn't. Nobody has a certain playstyle in Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. It's literally all just mashing a button when a glowy spot appears. Playing with an amiibo doesn't feel like I have an understudy. It just feels like I'm playing with a computer. Which is exactly what I'm doing. Well, that's Knockout Challenge. It's just Mega Battle.
It is.
Moving on to Classic Tennis. This is tennis without the Mega Mushrooms.
Alright, you know what? That's the last fucking straw. Alright, I don't fucking need this. Alright, you, this, and tennis!
Classic Tennis gives us 2 options, simple mode or standard mode. Those are synonyms. Well, standard has the stinky-ass chance and jump shots where you have the glow things you just run around to. Simple is just tennis. You just hit the ball back and forth. So basically, standard mode is Mega Battle.
Yeah?
Without the Mega Mushrooms.
you.
And simple mode is more strategic and skillful, but boring in its own special way. Well, we can play online. We have access to singles or doubles. We can play for fun if we're fucking f***sies, or play a serious match. We can play standard tennis or mega battle.
This game gets me.
We can even bring our amiibo online to play alongside us. And now all we have to do is find a match.
Wait. Gex's online wasn't this bad. What the f is this game? I fucking had it. F you. F this. And f tennis!
So online you can only play against random people and not friends, so that means we are completely dependent on who's playing this right now at this exact moment. You ever feel special that you're the only one playing Ultra Smash Online? Of course you don't, because I'm the only one playing Ultra Smash Online. The game's trailers heavily suggested you could play with friends. The term play together online kind of implies you can play with friends. Well, what about this little eyesore right here? Well, this is the achievements and store section. You gotta have a store with an economy. We have 25 things to unlock by doing certain things. You know how old NES games would be notoriously hard, so then you'd be forced to play it longer even though the game had like barely much content to it at all? That's a neat quirk of Ultra Smash. It brings that back. We have to win against 15 opponents in a row in Knockout Challenge with every starting character. That is nearly 200 matches you have to win. And what do you get for doing that? The star version of that character. What's the star version of that character? I don't know. They look the exact same, they just have a tiny star in their portrait. After looking it up, a star character is a more powerful version of that original character. That's kinda dumb. I know that's something that's not new to Mario Tennis, but still, it's kinda dumb. But we can unlock more characters: Bowser Jr., Dry Bowser, Sprixie Princess, Cleveland. Cleveland and Sprixie are new to Mario Tennis, joining Rosalina, who's also new on the starting roster. I really like Rosalina in this game, how she floats around. I don't know if that was just a lucky decision to make, so they didn't have to animate her walking, but it looks cool and fits her character. Sprixie was from Super Mario 3D World and is a really fun and cool addition. I like when they pull from the latest Mario titles for new characters instead of relying on the same old. And it's really odd to me that Grover hasn't been in a Mario Tennis game before this, but it's good she's finally here. When you obtain the unlockable characters for the first time, you automatically get the star version of them, which just goes to show how dumb having a star version is in the first place. And then there are the extra courts we can unlock. I mean, please. I would like some variety, thank you. Simply playing more and more matches will unlock different courts, and the only difference between them is the look and texture of the floor. Carpet, mushroom, sand, ice, rebound, and morph. Can't have Mario Tennis Ultra Smash without carpet, mushroom, sand, ice, rebound, and morph. I'd say the most interesting one is morph, simply because it'll morph into different textures already in the game. Rebound's kinda garbage, but so is the game, so it fits. It'll immediately make the ball fly in the direction it lands on, which is interesting. God, did I just say that? Everything else? Okay. To be honest, while the ball speed and bouncing properties change between each different court texture, most of them, I can barely tell a difference. The different styles I choose between mostly depend on whatever I feel like looking at that day, not necessarily the ball speed and bounce. Of course, if we look at the other Mario Tennis games and see how they all had elaborate court designs with interesting and fun gimmicks based on other Mario titles, as well as a standard stadium with texture differences, you may ask, why doesn't this game have good courts like these? And to answer that, this game had to come out in the holiday of 2015, no exceptions. We have Sand Court, you're asking for a lot. We can unlock higher CPU difficulties in an amiibo training mode. I mean, having these unlockables, that gives us some incentive to play more Mega Battles.
I don't need an incentive to play Mega Battle. It's Mega Battle.
But we don't necessarily have to complete the tasks the game is asking us to complete to unlock these things. We can just unlock them with the coins we earned. Don't you love how to unlock the Pro difficulty it costs 5,000 coins, but then for the difficulty right above it, it's 30,000? Alright, what else? Does the electronic manual count as a mode? So that's Mario Tennis Ultra Smash, and overall, it's bad tennis.
With Mega Battle.
Such a classic Gex move. Makes you think it's not Gex, and then comes out and says, I'm a bad tennis game. And it's right. Gex is a terrible tennis game.
Yeah, that was a Nintendo published game in 2015. I think I should wrap things up by giving just a little overview on everything Mario Tennis Ultra Smash has to offer. That's it. I remember reading an interview with the developers of Mario Tennis Ultra Smash. There they stated they wanted to go back to the roots of Mario Tennis, and that is code for, here's a lazy excuse as to why this game has less content than the Nintendo 64 one. I could say this is one of the worst Nintendo games ever created, and I will, but is it simply because it has barely 20 minutes worth of content and was obviously rushed out just to get something Mario related out on Wii U that holiday? Is it because this game adds absolutely nothing to the Mario Tennis series and strips out anything and everything memorable or fun from the past games? Is it because the main gimmick of the game adds absolutely nothing but an obtrusive cutscene to matches? Is it because they could have added content to the game via free software updates after the game released but just gave up and barely mentioned it after the game launched? Is it because there's only one stadium in the game with lazy textures added to give the half-assed illusion of multiple arenas? Is it
because it was $50 when it could have very easily been a $15 eShop download? Is it because even disregarding the lack of content, modes, and everything, the core gameplay is just pretty boring? Yes, but was this game ever really meant to be anything but all of that? I mean, the demo they showed off at E3 2015, that was pretty much the final game. I'm not making excuses for this thing. It's absolutely one of the laziest and most soulless games I've ever played from a major publisher. It's absolutely worse than Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival because, say what you will about that, but I felt the developers actually kind of cared. It functions fine, but that's not impressive at all. It's tennis. It's like they put together all the words they were going to use in an essay for school. I mean, these were some stellar words. If they formed sentences with them, easy A+. But they never put them on the paper, or in order that would make any grammatical sense. Either this game was supposed to be a legitimate Mario Tennis game and they scrapped everything that would require actual development to ship it out at the last minute, or this was always meant to be just a simple tech demo of Mario Tennis in HD and then they would just reuse the assets to make an actual Mario Tennis game later. I don't know. I would love to find out what happened to this game in the background, but it'll never make it not totally never not bad.
Well, you know what they say, if you play too bad video games for children, you're bound to end up in therapy somehow.
Actually, I played 3.
Wait. No. No. That's impossible. You don't mean... No! 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 No!
So this may be the worst game I've ever played in my life, but what about the final terrible Nintendo game that released in 2015? This was a 3DS game that released right alongside Amiibo Festival and Ultra Smash, and it absolutely murdered a series I've always had a soft spot for. So let's try out Mario Party The Top 100. This released 2 years later and is not in the running. Why is the floor wet? So, tell me where it all began.
Alright. So, tell me where it all began.
Alright.
Oh! Oh, you're that guy!
The one and only.
I was your therapist!
You're more delusional than I thought.
You were my patient that wouldn't stop talking about virginity!
And not being your patient.
You played that mammal game with the toys?
I would remember if that happened. It's on my bucket list.
The tennis thing with Big Luigi?
If that game doesn't exist, it would be on the news.
And you're about to talk about something else, and that's what I called it!
See, this is where your story falls flat. It's really unlike me to talk about 3 things.
You freaked me out, man. The fact you gave a shit about 3 different games scared me. Who knows what you're capable of giving a shit about?
Let me get this straight. You believe I, who answered a 1 ad in the paper for therapist, used to have you as a therapist, and you went insane after therapy sessions with you about 3 games caused you to question faith.
That's my obituary.
Okay, well, I can't help you until I know what the 3rd game is going to be.
Why?
It sounds like a good thing to add in my book, My Patient's Personal Stories and I.
I don't know. You didn't talk about it. It was a game.
Wait, I remember a game. You were a therapist!
I tried to be a news anchor, but I wasn't cut out. So I became a therapist, yeah.
And I was your patient, and I had to go to you because I played 3 Nintendo games from 2015 that were so bad, I had to seek therapy.
Well, what was the 3rd game? What happened when you played the 3rd game?
After I get therapy for playing all 3 of these games, I'm going to suppress everything, forget who I am, and become a therapist. And here we are today.
So it's just a 2D game about a robot!
A bad 2D game about a robot.
Those exist?
Not until 2015 they didn't.
Listen, can you just get over this trauma so I can enjoy my therapy in peace?
No, you need to get over your trauma.
I need therapy, alright? And you're gonna give me advice on how to improve my mental health, and you're gonna like it!
You were a therapist. Don't you give yourself therapy?
My mirror's in the shop!
You don't know what I go through every day. How do you expect me to give you secret therapy when we didn't even finish our original session?
You know, I'll tell you what. If I finish your session, will we do my therapy?
You know there are millions of customer support websites that would love to hear your personal problems.
You need to finish what you started. We need to end this now. I have dinner tonight with my family, and I gotta finish this before then, so I don't show up insane.
Okay, fine. Let's go to where it all began.
Nice place. Is this your couch?
Yeah. Okay, this place, so. You ever take a shit?
Oh yeah, big fan.
Cool, so you know what this place is. This is the bathroom.
No one's always there?
Well, on the off chance I need to restock, no, but I keep these here as a hobby. I like to curate them. This game blows. This game blows.
Oh.
Game
Oh my
blows.
god, it's worse than I thought.
This game blows.
I really should have reconsidered installing that.
You know, I may have left the force a while ago, but when it comes to makeshift therapy offices, I still got it.
I've seen better.
So, tell me where it all went wrong.
Well,
this game is worse than I thought.
Chibi-Robo Zip Lash is a stupid fucking fuck shit.
You know, that sounds about right, but something just doesn't seem right.
oh, hey, yo, Scott here.
Now this is therapy!
Back in 275 BC, Euclid did us all a solid and discovered the third dimension, and it only took until 2015 for Chibi-Robo to piss all over that. Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. Over the years, I've been harsh to this game, calling it such names as bad. You may say, Scott, that's just an opinion. I'll respond with, I don't know, the fact detector says otherwise. I don't like this game. If it came to my funeral, I'd be pissed I died in the first place. Of course, what makes it so bad? Well, we should go all the way back to the early 2000s. A great time. This didn't exist yet. The developer known as Skip Limited were widely known for being unknown. They've made quite a few titles in their day, but none of them particularly did all too well. Most people have never even heard of any of the games they've worked on, but they still have a devoted fan base. There's truly nothing else like a Skip game. They have such distinct art styles and humor, it's hard not to appreciate their creativity. Games like Gift-Pia on the GameCube, Captain Rainbow on the Wii, only Skip could have made these. And it's a shame barely anybody outside of Japan could experience them as they weren't localized. They created the art style games on WiiWare and DSiWare, the game LOL for the DS, their LinkedIn is doing just fine, don't worry. But the thing they're most well known for, undoubtedly, is Chibi-Robo. And people still don't know what this fucking thing is. Here we have a developer who works with Nintendo pretty much exclusively. They've published all of their games except LOL.
Take a chance for once!
And most of their biggest games never left Japan, didn't even do well in Japan to begin with, and their mascot franchise, which got 6 releases, still isn't actively known by anybody outside of this room.
Wait, do I know what it is?
Are you lonely?
No.
Then no.
Isn't that weird? A developer that makes this many games with Nintendo, the biggest name in all of words, and if I called the police saying, I was robbed, they took my Nintendo game developed by Skip, they'd go, who? Well, Skip is most known for Chibi-Robo. Announced in 2003, it was initially far different from the final product. It was a point-and-click adventure game to be published by Bandai. You had to tell that Chibi-Robo where to go and what to do. He was a tiny little robot exploring the home of an inventor, and like all good games with this premise, it was shelved. However, Shigeru Miyamoto of Nintendo got a good look at this game and expressed fondness of the character of Chibi-Robo. This is where the company stepped in and decided to publish the game instead of Bandai. Miyamoto joined as a producer and helped shape the game into the final product we have today, which released for the Nintendo GameCube in 2005 for Japan and 2006 for the rest of the world. Chibi-Robo, plug-into adventure, transformed from a point-and-click into a flat-out adventure game. You directly control Chibi-Robo exploring a family's house instead of an inventor's. The family bought their own Chibi-Robo helper robot. That's me! Roaming around a standard house as a normal-sized human? Boo. As a robot the size of a quarter? It's a dream come true! It's really cool to run around a typical family home, but from the perspective of a rat. Just climbing up furniture is like climbing up a mountain in a regular video game. It's a fun concept, and that's not the only thing Chibi-Robo had going for it. This game is weird and different, and that's what I like about it. The humor and style is so it. You meet so many crazy characters, and the gameplay mechanics of having to find an outlet to plug in to recharge and trying to make the humans who bought you happy by accomplishing tasks and gaining happy points. This is a solid game that has that Nintendo charm. It sold horribly.
I mean, this released pretty late in the GameCube's life. By the time Chibi-Robo came out, I don't think many people were interested in taking a risk on a character that's plug-based on a system nobody had. It's a shame because Chibi-Robo as a character has a similar level of charm as any of the other cutesy Nintendo mascots. If they just gave him a chance to succeed, he could live on for quite a long time.
Wanna know what happened?
Already got tickets to the funeral.
E3 2006, Chibi-Robo Bark Patrol was announced for the Nintendo DS. How the hell did that happen? How do you make a GameCube game that does poorly and Nintendo goes, f it, here's 5 more games? A sequel this soon and on the DS. It was surprising, but hey, this game was coming out pretty early on in the DS's life. It was on a much more popular system. I think Chibi-Robo may have a chance to do well here. Side note, I love how I hold this box. I always hold it like this, but my other hand deserves some spotlight. Welp! Here in North America, Bark Patrol was only available at Walmart. See, that's great. I couldn't think of a better store to sell a Chibi-Robo game. There are 2 types of Americans, people who shop at Walmart and Chibi-Robo fans. There's not much overlap. This seemed like a last-minute decision Nintendo of America made, as just about a month before the game released, GameStop was still taking pre-orders. I feel they just immediately had a bad feeling about this game and made a deal with Walmart, and they probably jumped at the idea of having the exclusive rights to a Nintendo-published DS game, the hottest console out there, and then they found out it was Chibi-Robo.
Great.
I think GameStop would have made more sense. Many believe Walmart was chosen due to Bark Patrol's themes of environmental conservation and how the store was aiming to not kill as many dolphins that year. No. Do you really think Nintendo decided to specifically limit this game's release just because Walmart's views somewhat aligned with the slight theme of a Chibi-Robo game? No, they didn't believe this game was going to be a success and didn't want a warehouse full of unsold copies. Bark Patrol released one day after The Legend of Zelda Phantom Hourglass. It got no marketing here. You could only buy it at a store that keeps their games behind a glass door. You'd have to say, "1 Chibi-Robo please," and I don't have it in my heart to say that to an underpaid cashier. This game also didn't do well. It did better in Japan. I mean, I can actually find commercials they released for it there. But here in North America, it's pretty obvious why it didn't sell. It's unfortunate because it's an okay enough game. You're Chibi-Robo planting flowers in a park. Bit of a different take from the original, and the DS just isn't as good of a platform for a 3D adventure game like this, but it's still a charming, wacky little game. It still feels like Chibi-Robo, though not the same as the original. And Nintendo specifically requested that. They wanted this game to be a new spin on Chibi-Robo. They apparently thought the original didn't sell well because right when everybody on the planet was about to buy it, they looked up the genre. That makes no sense. Well, in 2009, the original Chibi-Robo had a shot at redemption. Nintendo was re-releasing old GameCube games on the Wii at budget prices with motion controls now, dubbed the New Play Control line. Among games like Pikmin, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, and Mario Power Tennis, the original Chibi-Robo was set to release on the Wii. This may be a great chance for the game to find a new audience. It was the only New Play Control game that didn't release outside of Japan. Are you fucking kidding me? There would be no work required to bring this game over. It's just the original GameCube game. The translation work's already been done. You could have released this game on a far more popular platform during the height of its popularity here in North America, but no, the last 2 games didn't do well over here. Well, of course they didn't. You only released one at Walmart and the other one for a failed console, and you marketed neither of them.
Sorry, I've been holding that in for 23 years. Didn't this happen in 2009?
So, what's next for Chibi-Robo? How about a true sequel to the original? Bark Patrol was more of a different take on Chibi-Robo, while this next game puts Chibi-Robo right back in a house helping a family out. Same gameplay, same style. This is Chibi-Robo in its purest form. How did they f it up? Well, often called Chibi-Robo Clean Sweep by fans, this Nintendo DS game was a full-on continuation of the first game and was really quite good. Both this and the Wii re-release of the original could have brought new life to the series and introduced it to so many more people if they actually marketed and released them outside of Japan. But no. Instead, we had to wait 4 more years for more Chibi-Robo action. Imagine the world without Chibi-Robo games. In 2013, we got Chibi-Robo Photo Finder for the Nintendo 3DS in Japan, and 1 year later everywhere else. It was downloadable only and is more of a Bark Patrol-like Chibi-Robo game. By that I mean it was similar to the original style, but with a fair amount of differences. This game focused on taking pictures with the 3DS camera to transport real-world objects into the game's world. I think this was a totally decent little title. It looked quite good for being just a downloadable 3DS game too, though its more realistic looking art style, while obviously done due to the photo-taking mechanic, isn't nearly as charming as the typical Chibi-Robo style. Taking photos with the 3DS camera though, I think that's what killed a lot of interest in this game. If it came out in 2011 when the 3DS just launched, Sure, but the novelty of augmented reality type stuff with the 3DS died off considerably by this point. Nobody really wanted to take pictures with their 3DS anymore, so building an entire game around it starring a character nobody knew, what do you mean we're going out of business? I mean, if playing a photo-based adventure game was your New Year's resolution in 2014, f it, the game released early January here in North America. It was perfect for that.
Oh, come on! You need to be more accepting of different resolutions. For example, my New Year's resolution is to drink more.
It's July.
Yeah!
It didn't help that this game was announced in a Nintendo Direct with dozens of other announcements that easily overshadowed it. Like, people had more to say about Dr. Luigi. Well, I'll give Nintendo credit that they truly kept trying with Chibi-Robo, far more than other franchises that sold even more. They just kept mishandling this series. It felt like they never wanted to blame themselves for the series' low sales and instead chucked it up to, oh, people just don't get Chibi-Robo. What's there to get? He's a tiny robot! I personally believe you can take any character and make him a success with the right type of marketing. Is there any reason why a fat pink circle does well but a tiny robot doesn't? Nintendo believed that if we don't spend any advertising on Chibi-Robo and it still doesn't do well, we probably have to add some gimmick or change the game for the next entry to make it more appealing.
How does a company do so well but goes f***ing asinine when it comes to Chibi-Robo? What's so difficult about understanding that, if I don't market a game, or if I release it at the end of a failed console's lifespan, or I only release it at a store that sells f***ing hoses at, or maybe if I take the only 2 games that may have had a chance in North America and only release it in Japan, that it may be my fault the game's not doing well instead of the games themselves!
Moments like this make me really proud I was voted most likely to be therapist in high school.
Nice, I was voted most likely to go to therapy.
I'm not saying Chibi-Robo could be the next Air. I don't think it appeals to everybody, but there's no reason why so many other games that are weirder and more complicated sell better. It's not rocket science. Nintendo just doesn't understand why this series fails to do at least a little bit better, not the series itself. But see, that's when we entered 2015, and Nintendo's had enough of the series not doing well. They thought, you know what the problem with Chibi-Robo is?
Is lack of empathy?
No.
Overqualification?
Barely.
Tax evasion?
That's me.
Nope, it's the fact Chibi-Robo isn't a 2D platformer.
That's my parents' problem with me too.
Chibi-Robo Zip game. I've always just had a bit of a problem with this one. Oh, hi Scott, it's your mom. You're adopted.
Well, that's understandable. I appreciate your transparency.
Oh, and Chibi-Robo Zip Lash exists.
No!
This was announced in a Japan-exclusive Nintendo Direct on May 31st, 2015, starting things off showing what Chibi-Robo is all about, exploring 3D environments as a miniature robot. Now here's the game you're actually getting, you dumb bitch. So why did they take Chibi-Robo and turn it into a 2D platformer? Well, 2D games are easier to develop, are more accessible, and generally sold much better for Nintendo at the time. After New Super Mario Bros. Success, Nintendo went a bit 2D crazy, and it felt like pretty much all they were making on the Wii U and 3DS at the time were 2D games. Even their 3D games like Super Mario 3D World were very much inspired by 2D games. It was pretty much a 2D Mario game, but with an extra axis. So they probably thought, oh, let's turn Chibi-Robo into a 2D platformer so it'll sell better. Here's the thing, the genre wasn't the problem with Chibi-Robo. You can't just take this character and put him in a kart racer and expect it to sell well. Consumers won't go up to a game called Chibi-Robo's Super Gas and go, oh, finally a genre I care about that Chibi-Robo's in, I'm gonna buy this. No, they're still gonna go, what the f is a Chibi-Robo? Just putting him in a 2D platform is not gonna do anything except make him blend into the crowd more rather than stick out. Listen, I love 2D platformers, but Nintendo made too many of them on 3DS and Wii U. It just felt somewhat cheap and lazy to do nothing but 2D games instead of making a more in-depth 3D one. And I think that was one of the problems with Nintendo this generation. Like, no wonder people didn't buy the Wii U. 2D games are fun and more people can play them, but they just aren't as exciting to look at like 3D games are. You're not gonna buy an entire console for one. The Wii U had a bunch of great 2D games, but that's kind of all it had for a while. 2D platformers are games you don't want to take a risk on. Many of them, especially Nintendo ones, are more so comfort food for people. So tell me, why would you go wild with a game called Chibi-Robo Zip Lash if you want a 2D platformer when you could just buy New Super Mario Bros. 2 on the 3DS, or Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D, or Kirby Triple Deluxe, or Yoshi's New Island, or Shovel Knight, or Sonic, or later on after Zip Lash released, Kirby Planet Robobot, Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World, Super Mario Maker? Like, sure, making this game a 2D platformer makes it more accessible. Yes! But it set it up to compete against so many of Nintendo's other properties. Like, do you really think Chibi-Robo Zip Lash stands a chance next to Poochie and Yoshi's Woolly World? Of course not!
So you didn't like that they turned the small robot into Poochie Town?
No, I personally feel there was a lot of potential for Chibi-Robo to work fine in 2D.
You're mental.
Let me finish.
No! You're insane! And I don't work with people who have mental problems.
You're a therapist.
It's not that they turned Chibi-Robo 2D. I mean, if they did it right, it could be a cute little time. My issue is why they did it, how they did it, and when they did it. They did this because Chibi-Robo never sold well, so turn him into a 2D platformer. That makes the whole game feel oddly patronizing. Like, oh, you didn't get this, so here's the most basic by-the-numbers game we could possibly make. If this makes no sense to you, here you go, you dumb bitch. You like it now? The game looked fine initially, but nothing stuck out about it. It was just, oh, here's a 2D game with a whip. Everything's made out of blocks. There's nothing that takes advantage of the fact that Chibi-Robo's a small robot. You could have taken him out of the game and made him any character and given them a whip, and it would have been the exact same thing. And they did this when the 3DS was far from lacking in 2D platformers. Like I said, this doesn't make the game more appealing, it just makes it blend in with the crowd. But here's a Chibi-Robo amiibo that comes with the game, you should buy it! Oh man, now people who collect amiibo have to buy this. I mean, they just have to. You get the figure and it barely does anything when you scan it into the game, you have to have it. The game was announced for North America one day later on June 1st in a Nintendo Direct Micro, playing around with the small size of Chibi-Robo. The game was announced for an October release. They showcased it at E3 later that month, not in their big Nintendo digital event, no, but at things like the Treehouse Live Show. It's really weird to me that they didn't just wait to reveal this game at E3 2015 and instead opted to talk about it in the Direct Micro. I mean, they padded out their digital event with stuff like talking about Yoshi's Woolly World for the 20th time like 4 days before it came out in Europe. Why not show off Zip Lash during their big event? If they went to all the trouble of turning Chibi-Robo into a 2D platform for the sake of making it more widely recognizable and accessible, why not showcase the game in your big E3 show? Instead, all you do is announce it in a video many people didn't even know existed and proceed to not talk about it for 4 months until it comes out in October. Again, you like to act like you want this franchise to succeed, but you just give up on it immediately after revealing a new game.
So what you're saying is, it's a shitty game.
Chibi-Robo Zip Lash was released on October 9th, 2015 here in North America, and the developers basically guilted fans into buying it, saying how, oh, this may be our last chance for Chibi-Robo. Oh, please, you know what else was potentially the last chance for a franchise? Fire Emblem Awakening. That also released for the 3DS, and it was pretty much the ultimate Fire Emblem at the time. Fans loved it, and it created new fans. Chibi-Robo Zip Lash is nothing like a Chibi-Robo game. It wasn't what fans wanted, but they better buy it if they want more games. What does that tell Nintendo? If I buy this game, that's telling them I want more 2D Chibi-Robo. I don't. Or it also says I'll buy anything Nintendo releases. I did. So for $29.99, you could buy this game by itself. For $10 more, you could get the amiibo bundle. This was originally the only way you could nab the Chibi-Robo amiibo here in the States, though later on Amazon exclusively sold it separately. I mean, I like this amiibo quite a bit. The plug is neat. It's too big to fit into an actual outlet. Curses. But this is a nice figure, and I like the box, I guess. The new Chibi-Robo logo looks better than the original, in my opinion, though. The name, I found it odd that from October 2015 to October 2016, Nintendo had a tendency to name games that were either polarizing or negatively received with an ash at the end of their subtitles. But at least here, Zip Lash is a fun play on words referencing a medical condition. I'd assume if this game got a sequel, it would be called Chibi-Robo Melanoma Roma.
Oh, come on. I think Zip Lash is a great name. If they replace the word good with the word Chibi-Robo Zip Lash, I have no problem with it!
You'd be okay with replacing a word just like that?
Oh, I would. And that's saying something. Words mean a lot to me. Words have been in my family for generations. I'm a word buff. Go ahead, name a word. Any word.
What?
Love that one!
Upon release, Zip Lash received a price drop. Yes, this did not do well commercially or critically. Sitting at a ripe 59 on Metacritic, was that deserved? No, even 0's too high. I bought this game at launch because I wanted to support the Chibi-Robo franchise. I wanted to see more games. I wanted the series to not have to worry about casket shopping after every entry. Plus the amiibo was neat, and I was in that buy every Nintendo release you can phase of my life. I popped this game in, played it for 58 minutes, and I couldn't do it.
So you've barely played this game, and yet you hate it this much?
No, I hate it way more than this much.
You can't form an opinion on a game you've barely played. That's unethical. That's why we have HR.
So I should play 10 hours of a game I already know I don't like just to have an opinion on it?
Well, if you don't like it, don't play it.
But how would I know I don't like it if I don't play it?
Well, just stop doing stuff!
This game has spent enough time soaking. It's time to play through it and give it a fair shot, because who knows, maybe 60 hours in, I'll start to see its worth. I will not put this down until I beat this game, so let me just do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. There.
Can you put the game in for me?
No! That goes against my family's tradition. They never asked me to pop in Chibi-Robo Zip Lash, and I will always never do that to honor them!
Well, we're gonna need help with this.
Can you at least get this off of me?
Now that, me and my family did all the time!
I am forwarding this message to everybody in my contacts list. If you stop by tonight, we'll play...
Don't lie. I've lied before, and it's too fun.
Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. Did not take you as a Zip Lash fan.
I'm not. I knew you were lying, and I'm finally willing to give Gex a shot.
Oh no.
It's the Gex. Anyone up for round Gex?
What if I told you I didn't even own Gex and I wasn't lying about Zip Lash?
That's ridiculous. We played Gex that one time.
That was Amiibo Festival.
Well,
that was Ultra Smash.
What?
That was a car wash we went through together.
Hey, I heard you didn't own Gex.
From myself?
Yeah. Word gets around.
You keep these on you? I thought you hated Gex.
Hey, I cross-reference that copy whenever I need to be reminded how much I hate Gex. Yeah. Yeah, that lizard.
Alright, let's play Gex.
You know what I like about Gex? Consistency.
Okay, can somebody pop in the game for me? I can't do it myself.
You knew that was going to end up happening anyways.
I was worried that 3DS wasn't hammer resistant.
You're welcome.
Alright. Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. Swing into action with your Chibi plug and help Chibi-Robo save the world. I think I'm gonna be sick.
Oh! That's a f***ing Cheez-It!
Let's get this over with.
Chibi-Robo Zip Lash opens up on a 40-second long CGI cutscene where Chibi-Robo swings his plug. And that's it. Here's the title screen. This looks disgusting. First off, oh great, a farm. That's the first and only thing I think of when the act of Chibi-Robo comes up. Everything is really blocky and unappealing. To me, this feels like they were cutting corners and made really low polygon models and tried to act like, oh, that's just the game's art style. Like, really? Is this really an artistic decision? So the story starts. Chibi-Robo is cleaning a space shuttle. I don't give a shit! Our assistant Telly appears asking if we want to kick it and watch some TV. The news comes on and it's apparent that aliens have stolen natural resources from Earth. We gotta stop them! So here we go, we control Chibi-Robo, who would've guessed? We jump with A and swing your plug with X, which is called a whiplash. This game is one big f*** you to WebMD. We can angle it in the air, that's all we can do. Swing to the side, swing at one angle in the air, nothing else is possible, stop dreaming. That is unless we hold the Y button. That's when the Zip Lash comes into play. Oh, thank God, yes, finally, a good fucking use for this button. The Zip Lash is a more powerful whiplash you have to charge up and then you can angle anywhere. You collect orbs throughout the level to increase the length of your Zip Lash and then you can get it going farther places, but the length resets after every level, so it might be a good idea to just give up. So, yeah, the Zip Lash can go pretty far. Look at that, somebody should name a game after it. Man, can you imagine a game with an Ultra Smash and a Zip Lash? The Zip Lash needs to be charged though, and it's painstakingly long. It takes a couple of seconds and then you have to aim, and if I aim incorrectly, I have to charge it up again. Aiming the thing is way too finicky with the circle pad. You can move it more precisely with the D-pad, but now aiming is ridiculously slow. So that means, well, just use the whiplash, but it's so damn limited. You can't increase its length like the Zip Lash, and you can only aim it in like 2 directions. So your options are either annoyingly limited or annoyingly slow. This isn't fun. It feels like they were making the game and Chibi-Robo's moveset was actually pretty interesting and well developed and, you know, fun. And they said, you know what, this is too fun. Let's split Chibi-Robo's plug attack across 2 moves and give them annoying elements that forces the player to use both. That's not fun. I don't jump at the chance to use a whiplash. I don't jump at the chance to use a Zip Lash. I begrudgingly use them to progress. I mean, alright, the whiplash is good for up close combat and the Zip Lash is good for far away stuff. I get they wanted to have a reason for you to use the whiplash and the Zip Lash, but come on, out of all games to have coherent design decisions, I'd personally design Chibi-Robo's moveset to be a bit more fun to use because the whiplash is too limited and the Zip Lash is too much of a hassle. I think charging the Zip Lash is unnecessary. Charging it doesn't make it go longer or anything. I think just holding the button, it immediately lets you aim and then you can let her rip. Maybe the downside would be the fact that once you let her rip, you have to watch it do its thing afterwards. There's still that slowness element, but it would be a lot less cumbersome. And then you could have given the whiplash more angles to work with here while still being short in its reach. I think doing that and eliminating the Zip Lash charge up would still give you reasons to use both moves. Of course you may say, Sky, you're not a developer, you don't know the first thing about designing a game. See, that's the thing, I don't know the first thing about game development, but that makes it even more fun to tell game developers what I would do differently.
You know, this game doesn't seem too bad so far. It has graphics, and it exists.
Yeah, you know me. I'm a sucker for existence.
Me too. That's why I love Gex.
Guys, like the game works, but the movement is more annoying than fun. It's like just gliding in the air. You have to hold X while falling. It's like, it just doesn't feel good. It feels awkward. It feels like a tacked on move more than anything. And then there's rolling in the game. Like you have to hold R and it's only used in like 4 levels throughout the entire thing. It's worthless.
Wait, there's a roll in the game? Oh yeah, roll!
That's
Gex.
So controlling the game works, but I don't find it fun. Your moveset is more so a means to get you to the end of the game rather than something I actively want to use because it's enjoyable. I mean, the game itself, it's just Chibi-Robo going from point A to point B in the level. Use your plug to do all kinds of things, kill enemies, latch onto areas. I can't believe this game didn't do well. You have plugs throughout the levels to recharge your health, which gradually decreases throughout the level since you're just on battery power. So you plug in here, but then you can attach these orange things to fly up to higher ground. Why are they just orange things? What are orange things? Why aren't they outlets? That's one thing I just don't get about this game. The art design, context of everything, and what the hell they were going for. So Chibi-Robo's going on a journey throughout the world. We travel to Oceania, then North Africa, then the Caribbean, Europe, North America, the South Pole, real life places. So why are all levels so generic? Why are they made out of blocks? Why is everything going for a low polygon art style? And where exactly am I in relation to these places? Chibi-Robo's a tiny robot, but I never feel that perspective in these stages. Sure, there might be a big hat or something in the background, but most of the time, his size never amounts to anything in here. The fact I'm in Europe doesn't matter. These are just bland-looking stages that are just made up of fucking tiles. Like, why do these levels look like they were made in a level creator? Just everything's made up of blocks. And if that's really the art style they were going for, why wasn't Chibi-Robo redesigned to look more blocky to go along with the rest of the style? Why can't I collect real-world candies in the game that are designed realistically, but then the rest of the game looks like this? But then the worlds I'm traveling through are real-life locations. I'm supposed to actually believe this is Europe, but then when we're about to fight a boss, Telly says, oh, we're about to fight World 1's boss. Like, who says that outside of a video game? That just feels lazy. Why couldn't you just say, oh man, this guy's looking pretty tough? No! You're about to fight the World 3 boss fight, sir. You are in a video game made of blocks, even though we also like to act like you're in real life Europe. Here's a realistic looking bag of Funyuns.
I personally enjoy how inconsistent the art style is.
Yeah, inconsistency is a fun quirk of Gex.
I think it really keeps you on your toes. Like a mouse.
Oh, yeah. All right, okay, I get it.
All right,
Yeah.
How about, I think it's confusing. None of this references the fact that Chibi-Robo is a tiny robot, which is his entire character. The block-based level design is putrid, and this game just doesn't know what it wants to be at all.
So, tell me where it all began.
Oh, don't even get me started.
I'm gonna need a priest.
So we've got 6 worlds with 6 levels each in them. That doesn't seem like a lot, but when we enter these levels, they really got around the lack of content here by making the levels never f***ing end. These stages take a good 10 to 20 minutes to finish, and without there's absolutely nothing interesting going on in them, and how slow Chibi-Robo is, how slow the Zip Lash is to charge up, how limited the Whiplash is, they feel a hell of a lot longer. They're beyond tedious, and it doesn't help that this game just has a ton of collectibles hidden throughout the levels. They're pointless. You have Chibi Tots, they're children, big coins. All these do is increase your score at the end of the level, and there are so many of these things per stage, I almost feel inclined to collect them, but then I remember, these give you nothing. Stop wasting your time is valuable. And then I continue to play 10 hours of Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. Now, you do have those collectible snacks throughout the levels too, the really realistic looking ones. You can nab these, and then if you find a talking toy and give them all the snacks they want, you'll unlock a costume. These talking toys are some of the only form of resemblance this game has to actual Chibi-Robo games. Those titles had you meet up with wacky looking characters, and the toys are sort of that, but they just look completely out of place here. Like, it made sense when you'd see these things in the original game. They're toys, you're in a family's house, do the math. Here I'm just dicking around in the Caribbean and some toy is randomly just hanging out in a portal. There's no context to the place they're sitting, it's just a place. There's nothing going on here. Why are you here? Why theme this entire game around a trip around the world when you aren't actually going to make the stages look like they're a part of that world and have random toys ask for snacks in them? Why not make this a 2D platformer taking place in a house or a school or something? That would have forced the developers to think outside the box and try to design unique platforming stages around places like a kid's room, a bathroom, a kitchen. Instead, they decided to go for a worldwide trip theme so they could just lazily use generic themes like grasslands, desert. They just went water level, we're in the Caribbean. Anyway, the snacks you give to these toys are real-world snacks, and you get a giant advertisement told to you when you give them the food. Yes, this is blame product placement, and it's even weirder based on how the rest of the game looks like this. And then you find Utz cheese curls and they look like that. To be fair, the snacks are from around the world, and it doesn't feel like advertising when it's a foreign food. It's more so kind of just a fun fact thing. But no matter what, this is obviously product placement at its worst. There's no reason for this to be here. It doesn't fit. At least in a game like Pikmin 2, where there are real-world objects in the game. One, it fits more because Pikmin 2's environments are supposed to look like the real world. It's more realistic. And two, they don't openly advertise the products to you. They go, oh, what's this thing? And they try to make sense of it themselves. It doesn't feel like product placement in Pikmin 2 because the product placement adds to the experience. It makes it more realistic. Zip Lash pissed me me off and makes me want dots. So, I hear the game looks, the levels are incredibly boring and they go on forever. The product placement is completely out of place. The moveset is more cumbersome than fun. I don't like it.
Well, that sounds like somebody that hasn't played enough of this game. Why don't you play another 5 hours and come back to us?
Yeah, it's a fine game. It's not like the level progression is like one of the stupidest game mechanics you've ever seen.
Oh! After you beat a stage, you have to spin the destination wheel. That sounds like fun. What does it do? Well, it decides what stage you're doing next. If you land on 1, you go to the next stage. If you land on 2, you go to the stage after the next. Now, you'll still have to beat the stage you skipped over to progress. So what the f is the point of jumping all around like this? The 6 stages per world are set up like most 2D platformers. They gradually get harder the farther you go, so why make players play them out of order if that's the case? And also, while the stages are deliberately called World 1-1, 1-2, 1-3, there's an obvious order to follow here. Why do I have to spin this wheel? The wheel isn't meant to be fun. It's meant to be a roadblock, much like how the Whip Lash is limited and the Zip Lash is slow. Why wouldn't I want to go one stage at a time? I can't see what any future stages are going to contain. There's no reason why I'd want to play level 5 before level 3, so why would I want to skip around like this? Obviously, the game wants you to progress normally. The end of a level is symbolized by 3 UFOs. Hitting the gold one gives you 3 destination wheel spins, silver gets you 2, bronze gives you 1. Obviously, you want the gold so you can guarantee you can keep spinning the wheel to get the stage you want, as in the next one in line. Because if you spin the wheel and it lands on a 3 and you land on a stage you've already cleared, you have to play through it again. The game knows this isn't fun. Why else would they reward you with extra chances to spin by hitting the gold UFO? Why else would you be able to purchase wheel slots so you can get the exact number you want? Wait, what the f is the point of this then? If I can just buy slots with the exact numbers I want with the coins I collect, that just defeats any and all purpose of the wheel. It's just an annoying thing they added for the sake of being annoying. It doesn't even make sense in the context of the game. At least things like the news broadcast you're forced to watch in Splatoon, that may be annoying, but makes sense in the context of the game's world. A fucking wheel doesn't. It's even stupider that once you clear all the levels in the world and the boss appears, you still have to spin the wheel even when all the slots take you to the boss. What is wrong with this game?
Not much.
I might as well go through all the worlds. I mean, what else is there to talk about? World 1 is Oceania. We got boring grassland stages, a stage where we're on balloons and swinging back and forth brings it down, staying still brings it up.
That saves the game right there.
World 1's boss is a robot kangaroo thing, fun. World 2 is North Africa, basically the desert world of this game. We have a skateboard stage in here. I died twice and gave up. When you die twice or more, you can just clear stages with coins. I have no shame. This game is far from difficult. It's incredibly easy, but if you happen to fall down a pit or something, starting back at the last checkpoint is grueling due to how slow everything is. I hate the idea of having to do everything in this game all over again. And if you lose all your energy, you have to restart the level. And for these vehicle gimmick stages, it's really easy to get a game over because either your robot energy is being used by the vehicles or just one screw up is an immediate failure and you have to start the whole level over again. Thumbs in anything that's played this game. The boss of this world is a snake pharaoh thing. Grab bombs and throw it in its mouth. Just getting these bombs over here takes a while, and waiting for the snake to open up its mouth takes a while. This boss took 15 minutes to complete, and I didn't die at all. It just took a long time. I was considering giving up here. I considered giving up as soon as I left the womb, but alas, here I am, World 3. The Caribbean, the ocean stage, where Chibi-Robo pulls a Moses and parts the Red Sea. There's an ice Chibi-Robo power-up where we get to turn water into ice for a second. There's also a fire Chibi-Robo power-up where we get to turn things on fire, but both of these pretty much equate to hold right, you'll demolish anything in your path. There's a jet ski thing, and then the submarine is one of the worst controlling things humanity has ever created. It is so slow and delayed. It is a submarine. It should feel slightly slow and delayed, but this is so slow and delayed. It's just not fun. Like 90% of what this game does, they force these little irritations in there. They could have made this game, at the very least, fun to control, but for some reason, they think adding an annoying thing to every controllable aspect of this game is good game design. And then the boss of this world, you use the damn submarine again! World 4 is Europe, or the forest, where it's just the same 2D platforming again. The return of the stupid balloon thing, I skipped this one, the boss is bats. World 5 is North America, alright, home field advantage. This is an industrial world, a lot of factories. Another skateboard level, I skipped this one. The boss is this. And World 6 is the South Pole. The South Pole. It's really weird the final levels are snow-themed.
It's even weirder, half of them are lava themed. So I guess the idea is that the aliens have done so much damage to the world that the South Pole is on fire. Maybe. Or maybe they just decided to slap real world places on the names of these worlds at the last minute. The controls in this world. Oh Christ God. I actually usually like ice worlds in games. The physics are generally tolerable to me and I enjoy the winter aesthetic, but here, the controls are terrible. It's not only slippery, but everything is so delayed and slower than ever before. This is unbearable. There's another jet ski stage, skipped it, I kept running out of battery power and got 2 game overs, didn't have the energy myself to figure out what I was doing wrong. The world randomly throws you a lava stage halfway through. It goes back to an ice theme and then another lava theme. The final boss! Oh my god, I don't know if I'm happy I finally finished this game and can actively call it a piece of shit, or if I'm sad I stooped to the level of beating Chibi-Robo Zip Lash. The boss is a giant alien ship. We grab the tiny alien UFOs, they become laser guns, and we have to shoot all the bright spots on the ship in the background. Honestly, the best fight in the game. It's a decent fight, not hard at all, but I think it was a neat little change of pace. But of course, this wasn't the final boss. There's a final boss. We have to build a giant Chibi-Robo robot to fight it, and now we have to buy the pieces to make the robot. This money I've collected has had no use outside of skipping levels, buying number panels, and buying items throughout the stage if you needed them. I did not. But right before the final boss, you're telling me I had to be grinding for coins this entire time. Why not make it so then every boss fight you have to purchase things so it gets in my Chibi-Robo Zip Lash beating head that I might need to save up coins for the final boss? I only had enough coins for the head. Now I have to go back through the game and grind for 20,000 coins to buy body parts to beat the final boss. I am f***ing done.
You should probably get on that.
I can use the amiibo. Look, Chibi-Robo is still partially owned by Bandai. I'm still not happy. We can get World 7 Asia with it by scanning it in. It's a bonus world and... oh my god, why didn't the rest of the game look like this? I mean, there are still blocks, but this looks so much more appealing than the rest of the game. We can level up our Chibi-Robo amiibo and become Super Chibi-Robo, which is just a slightly powered up Chibi-Robo. I don't know what else to say, man. I don't want to play through hours more of this game just to get coins for a final boss I'm not gonna like. And so... I can see where the budget went.
You know, it all comes together in the end.
I mean, I liked the game, but now I really like it.
X.
Chibi-Robo Zip Lash is not a good game. It's a painfully generic 2D platformer and spits in the face of what the original Chibi-Robo represented and showcases my problems with some modern Nintendo games. It felt like it was talking down to the consumers. No, people don't like this, but they'll like this. A boring, annoying 2D platformer with terrible art design and no idea what it wants to be. The levels are designed alright, the game functions, but is that really enough to call a game okay? No, there's no reason to play this game, and it annoys me that they held the series hostage over this thing's success. I don't think Skip developed much of this game. The developer Vanpool is in the credits, and looking at their history with games like Wii Play Motion and the minigames and Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, I feel like they primarily developed this game and Skip kinda just oversaw it. Comparing these 3 games is tough, but I easily dislike Zip Lash the most. They're all terrible, but Amiibo Festival has some dumb, sarcastic fun to be had in it, and Ultra Smash at its core has a fine base for a Mario Tennis game. Zip Lash, every element of it, I have problems with, and as I progress through the game, it just irritated me more and more. It was painful to play through. This game slogs on and on. It's not fun. Every aspect of the gameplay, they added an annoying element for seemingly no reason other than to just be annoying. I have no idea why they did any of this considering they wanted Chibi-Robo to be a success. Thrown in Destination Wheel, Chibi-Robo's future is on the line. It's been 5 years since I bought this. And even though I'm 97% finished, I'm done. And I think I've played enough to consider this my least favorite game of all time. It blows.
Seems a little harsh, acting like you hate the game or something.
I do!
But you said the level designs are alright. You must love the game then.
Just because a game doesn't inherently have terrible level design or any major bugs or glitches, that doesn't mean it's fine. It just means it works. Just because a game works doesn't mean it's good. I don't like playing this game. I hate what it stands for. I don't like that they made fans of Chibi-Robo buy this with the hope of Chibi-Robo having a future. I don't like that they thought so low of people and consumers thinking that they'll love this generic, terrible 2D platformer. I don't like this game.
You know, when you put it that way, I kind of like the idea of this game being terrible.
Yeah, and as a therapist, therapy generally moves the quickest when I agree with everything the patient has to say.
Gex will be Gex. You know, I've had a ritual for the past 3 years or so. This game blows. This game blows.
This game blows. This game blows. As much as I like that, I think I want to end this now. How can we take each and every one of the Chibi-Robo Zip Lash games in existence and eliminate each and every one of them?
We're swimming with rats.
Can't swim. Love rats. I'm in.
More of a lizard guy.
I'm deathly afraid of circles.
Come on, guys. I have thrown 95% of Zip Lash's population down the toilet over the past 3 years. If we go down there right now, we can finish them off before they ever resurface.
I have as much confidence in this as I have facial hair.
You have facial hair.
Where?
Well, I'm in. You know what they say, WWGD.
What would Gex do?
The G stands for Jesus.
All right, Rex. Oh, the revolution isn't for everybody.
Oh, I dropped something down the toilet last week. Remind me to look for it. Oh! There are my jeans!
Okay, so keep an eye out for these games.
What does it look like again?
Hard to describe. Shapes, 4 sides, colors.
Does it have Chibi-Robo Zip Lash on it?
Yes!
There they are.
I just thought that's what water looked like now!
Weird name for Gex. Why are the copies circling around?
I f***ing hate circles! All the copies you've thrown down the toilet over the past 3 years have become sentient?
That's why my plumber fucking hated me.
Guys, come on. Gex gonna do this, right, Gex?
It's the anti-Gex!
No, it's just a sewer monster comprised entirely of copies of Zip Lash!
I'm going with the anti-Gex.
Even the anti-Gex has the word Gex in it.
Now that's what I call a good point.
I'm tired of this! You're a terrible game! But that doesn't mean I won't overcome you! I'm better than that! You're back?
I needed energy and ammo.
So what's the game plan here? What the hell is the game plan here?
What's the exact opposite of this thing? Not Gex, that's for sure.
No. No, I think it's Gex.
You know, I've always wondered what trauma felt like.
Thanks. Thanks for sticking it out with me. I got it all out of my system. Nintendo had a bad 2015, but that doesn't mean I should let it affect my mental health. And so what if somebody likes a game I dislike? It doesn't matter. They're wrong anyways.
It's been an honor serving you. I can finally tell you why you're so messed up in the head. After playing a game as good as Chibi-Robo Zip Lash, it will definitely make you feel inadequate.
Sure.
You can rip up that rain check for therapy I had with you. I'm good on my own now. I think I'm going to start my own therapy business. Call it the Think Barrel.
Nah, good on you. I love seeing therapists start their own business.
Yeah. What was your name?
Dr. Atrix, but you can call me Jerry.
Thank you, Dr. Geriatrics. You know, I still have this on me. Oh my god, for real? Oh yes! We're turning this Gex night into a Gex year. What the f*** is this?